Do you have anything to say?
Call me a god. 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 Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Oh, tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments.
He basically drops that to the bat, tell him to put it down, script, like, what are you going to do about it? Yeah. And then he just came back, you shot him. Okay.
Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god. I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. Wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grave 6 feet like Kenny. Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Oh, tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations, it's my way. I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation. You call me a god. 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 I don't know how to stop. I till I stop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. Wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got him, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grave 6 feet like Kenny. Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god.
JJ, do it. Give me another one. Yeah. I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you. Let's see. Stop screen. Hola. How's it going, everybody? I was doing some gymnastics back here. I was like, wait, oh crap, I forgot to put my eyeliner on. So, how's it going? Hopefully the internet's okay. Right? Oh my gosh. Thank you, KJ. Thank you, Donna. Thank you. Who's Butterbean? Oh my gosh. Holy crap. Thank y'all. I'd go hug you if I knew if I could just, portal my way there. I would do it. Oh my gosh. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, Marilyn. I saw somebody said, hey, Cherry Pie, Too Broke, Shanabana, Vicky G. Let me stop mumbling. Dog Mom, Jody Allen, Rita Mays Resale, Private 91, Sugar Butt Starburst, Cherry Pie, I don't know if I said that already. Tracy Schuler, how you doing? Candace Parr, Gary Chadwick. She's amazing, huh? KJ, for just nobody can bring it like she does. I learned more just from reading, or from her reading the tweets than anything. Diamond Eyes, ever since I saw your name, I've been like singing the song. Diamond Eyes, watching. I think that's how that song goes. If not, it's how it goes today. How you hanging in there? Very carefully. That's about all I can say. It's just a lot. It's like a document dump every single day. And I mean, oh my God, those made me so nervous. Just the new information, the things that for years, 4 years, almost, you've been trying to fill in the blanks to figure out what happened, how it happened, what, who all these things are. And then it happens. And then it's like a whole nother level of holy crap, unholy crap. Satan tacos folded up, storms for private parts. Gross, first off. I'm not going to let them bastardize every damn thing. And I suggest that you do the same, because they don't get to have everything. They've ruined half of pop culture, religion, pretty much politics. They've ruined a lot of things. They've made a real mess of things. And so when this is adjudicated, I know there's still Chatty Daddy. Anyways, but I'm just not going to let them take everything. I'm not going to do it. Hey, Natalie, how are you? I'm out of breath and I need a crap of Dr. Pepper. Hold, please. I'm thirsty. Oh, not paid endorsement. Anyways, so what are you guys doing? Yeah, they will never win. Thank you, Olive Heatley. They will never win. Just the audacity to the depths of which two losers and more will go just to screw. I said it. Just to have coitus. And it's gross. It's so gross. What the hell? It doesn't make sense. It never has. It never will. Thank you, KJ. I appreciate it, Dog Mom. This really sucks. So Mom called and talked to Jason earlier, and okay, Mary. Yeah, Mom called earlier, and she asked if we were going to be there tomorrow, and yes, we are going to be there for that and for the verdict Like we would have an hour for the verdict. We have an hour to get there. Anybody think that they're going to, like the jurors, you think they're going to take long to deliberate? Or you think it's going to be a pretty short one? Thank you, Daleen. Really appreciate it. How's Larry? He's okay. It's overwhelming, right? I mean, he's so, I always look to him, like KJ said, like an oak tree. He's strong, you know? But one person can only be so strong for so long. And then it's like the joke's on you. And I don't mean that in a sarcastic way or anything. It's just like, you kind of, that's, I guess, thought process and all this was if I hurry up and thank you, Kristen. You're so sweet. Thanks for all you're doing too. On the other side of crime, right? Appreciate it. And you. You think short? Oh, where to go? Senga, I think it was Senga that said it. Well, Salma. I don't know. Short. Bo Peep thinks it'll be quick too. Do we know if Boyce will sequester the jury? I don't even know what that means. Like sequester. What does that mean? Make them stay or something? Y'all know I don't. I do not speak the legalese. Maybe I don't comprehend it too well. Sequestering is like, isn't that like when they bust them in or something? I don't know. Yeah, I think so. I saw their faces. You know, I really, they look like a good jury. You know, the jurors, they're so attentive and they're just like, what? And I mean, for people like us who have, we've desensitized to a lot of these things already, right? You know, the whole zombie thing. Zombie, just that. You're like, what? You know, it took me a long time to get over that. And I just think, you know, oh crap, you know, they may be hearing this for the first time pretty much. So poor things. I feel bad for them. I really do. And I appreciate their service. Denial and I said should be short, but I wonder if the jurors will want to talk to each other because they can finally say what the F to each other and actually talk about it. Right? Paula says, considering they have 11 charges to go through, I think 6 hours. Well, that's pretty specific. But I like it, you know. Mod Mox Goods. No more than 3 hours deliberation. That's your bet, huh? Means put them in a hotel room. I don't know. I have no idea. I watched the Darrell Brooks trial. And so, I listened to the audio, but I always watch KJ, first if I'm not in the courtroom, right? Sometimes I leave the courtroom just to go sit outside and just watch KJ read them. It's just something about, it's too overwhelming inside the courtroom. It's heavy in there. And it's like I absorb the energies, or I know that sounds frou-frou, but it's true. It's too much. And it's like I'm on high alert and it wears you out. Because I'm trying to look at everybody and everything and listen, and every sensory is going off, Oops. Hey, hope they're in there till a verdict, right? Is there anybody here that thinks that, she will be acquitted or whatever that acquitted? I don't think so. Oh, isolate the jury. Okay. Means they can't go home. I can't imagine. But it's like at the end of the day, there's 2 dead children. Okay. Do we get to can we bury the kids now after this? I want to know. Or do they hold them? To me, that's just terroristic all in itself. It's just like, can we please put them to rest? That's part of this process. And it's a very torturous one at that. It's kind of like holding them in contempt, or, holding them over our heads or something. I don't know what the point of that is. What does anybody? Can anybody make sense of that for me? Because it doesn't make sense. Not until Chad's trial. Oh, hell no. I haven't either, Betsy B. It's really, for a long time, I didn't even put 2 and 2 together, because in my mind, in my heart, Tylee and JJ, Charles, Tammy, and Joe, they're all together in my heaven. They're together, and they're, guiding us through this, making sure that they get the justice that they deserve, that Lori and Chad get called out for the assholes that they are, the murderers that they are. And I didn't even, until Mom and Larry came out publicly and were like, we want to bury the kids, or, the kids are still in the freezer, whatever. And I was just like, oh crap, totally eyelash. Did not even I never connected the 2. And then now that it's, came into my realm, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of important. You want to lay the dead to rest respectfully, as they shouldn't be dead, first off, but they are. Again, I'll say it over and over again, as mean as it sounds, or as it sounds, because it is what it is. It's reality. Tylee did not fall apart on Chad's property and bury herself and burn herself. JJ didn't duct tape himself and bury himself on Chad's property. So there's 2 dead children. There's 2, possibly 3 unsuspecting spouses and former spouses, and then I think that Alex was, I don't know if he killed himself or if it was just a cue to do it or what. It just sounds really crazy. It always has, but now I'm like, no, they had something to do with it. Thank you, KJ. Love always wins. Oh. At the end of the day, right? At the end of my life, at the end of this process, it's the only thing that makes sense. That's how love wins. Let's see. Thank you so much, KJ and Mr. Wayne. And, okay, Mom Jeans. Thank you, Mom Jeans. It's not showing for some reason. Why? I can't make it click on there. Hold on. My computer screen is this big. It's so little. So I don't have much room to maneuver here. But thank you, Carrie. I pray that they will give those precious kiddos to you after this trial. It is way past time. Yeah. It really does suck. All the way around. Oh my God, I might get emotional. Nobody wins except for love, right? Because as much as I can't stand the woman, as much as I'm like, oh my God, that song from Gautier, somebody that I used to know, a lot in my head when I think about Lori. And it's true. She's just somebody that I used to know, love and trust. And I just never suspected anything as egregious, as hurtful and harmful and just disrespectful and selfish and all those words. I never expected that from somebody that was in my family. And it's so it's betrayal, intimate betrayal, you know. You never know if you have a Satan, not a good one either, in your family, that, you know, you have meals with and vacations with. And anyways, it's just terrible. It's tragedy. It's tragic for these victims, for everyone associated with them. You know, I mean, if you think about the juror just needing therapy or something after this, then, I mean, I haven't gone to therapy yet. This is my therapy, by the way. So I appreciate that. Y'all are very good therapists. Oh, psychopaths. Yeah. It was an act. I mean, and a damn good one too. That's just it, though. She was good. You know? But I mean, I've never dug into my other aunts or anything that anybody has married in my family. I haven't gone into my Aunt Melanie's background, you know, to check her out. You just believe people, right? Nothing against you, Aunt Melanie. I'm just saying. As an example, or Aunt Chris, or you just, I don't know. Maybe she was just good. She just fed us what she wanted us to know. Yeah. Ooh. Kathy says that's because we don't think our family would hurt us like this. Just right. I mean, it's like, and they picked like the most unsuspecting, dependent people, you know, like, I mean, Uncle Charles, you know, he knew that something was brewing. He didn't back down. I think he's a hero in this story because he rang the bell. He was sounding it off. And he did not turn around. Although it killed him, he did not stand down. He faced it. He faced evil, you know, and he died because of who he was, his true character. I'd rather go down in the books for standing for what I believe in than these assholes, these cowards, murderers, you know? I don't know. What would he say in all of this? I think, I don't know. I've always just pictured him fading out, right? As he's fading out. I'm an empath, right? And he looks, it's like I see mainly Lori, not really Alex, as if I'm looking through Uncle Charles's eyes, basically. I guess that's how I'd put it. And as he's dying, fading out, whatever, he's looking at Lori like, how could you? You know, betrayal. That's what I think he's saying or said or thought or whatever. Just how could you? And then, you know, of course, that's just normal questions that we all have. Like, we want to know why, how, who could do something so bad. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Oh, hag. ugh, they're despicable. Thank you. The poor jurors, right? And if you know someone is evil around you, you wouldn't believe it, right? Because I don't know. And I believe in demon possession too, KJ. I'm not scared to say it. People, they call it magical thinking and this and that, but I don't know. I don't got to explain. You don't have to. We don't have to explain. This is my family. I believe in it. The demon possession. There's something that I don't know. If I wish that their text messages, right? This is the only time that I can find an opportunity to convict people on their thoughts that they put out into a text, and they're evil women, they're evil men, they're evil people. I don't know. I'll never understand it. Yeah, I watched it. Mormon Stories about a week ago. It was very interesting. She said that Alex came and got her before checking on Stacy. She said it was totally sus. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then whenever, from Megan, I'm sorry, I always say Megan. From Megan, her interviews or whatever, she had said that Barry was a temple worker. And I was like, oh, well, that makes sense now. It just really does. And it's there's some hooey-pooey stuff going on up in there. So I just want this to be a place where you don't have to have a temple worker in or be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in order to figure out what goes on in there. I understand not everybody's like that, but come on, come on. Too many people just turned a blind eye to this, really? I mean, everybody? Or do they know what's going on? Or is this just normal for them? That's scary on itself, right? So if that's just normal to be in the celestial champagne room ish, you know what I mean? The celestial room of a Latter-day temple with that intention in your heart. Yeah, that's true, pussycat. 5 husbands. If she was so nice, they wouldn't divorce her, right? Or try to. Yeah. It's really telling, huh? Yes. Sai? I like your name. She wears a mask no one could ever imagine. No. Thank you, Butterbean. I like your name, Butterbean. Rombo. Can't wait till Lori goes from comfy jail to the real deal prison. I heard from Gigi, Lori's jail has excellent food compared to prison and way less crowded. She will have a rude awakening. I think she already kind of has, I think. And I mean, no, I'm right there in agreement with you. Just know that prison is way different than county or where I come from, parish. We have parishes, jails. They're funded differently. So I think like she hated Kauai jail. We know that because the cockroaches and the whatever. And the food was bad. But I thought she loved Kauai, I'm a bitch. But but then she went to Madison and she liked it there better. And I mean, it just doesn't seem to be a highly populated jail, right? Seemed to be nice, take care of her. And then, I think Ada County was like, oh crap, she doesn't look so good these days. I don't think it's, I don't think it's been a nice transition for her just for going from Madison County to Ada County. I think so too. We pretty much all do. Yeah. If not, she killed a spirit. So poor Joe, you know, I really feel for that dude. Never met him. It really sucks all the way around. You know, the things they were saying. I mean, my God, like just evil, bold, in your face. Yes. Yes, he was. Charles was a victim of domestic violence, and often victims help hide the abuse in order to survive. And I mean, I'm that comment that Zach Cox said to Justin Lum when he was talking about my Uncle Charles, right? He said that, and this is a good example of that, right? He said, Charles said, well, she's not hurting anybody. She's still making dinner. She's still, you know, I guess playing her role, her part, whatever, and however their relationship dynamics were, right? So right there, he was enabling her because it was just more comfortable. Had to have been, right? Nobody wants to wrap their head around somebody that they love so much losing touch with reality, even though it wasn't. That's just it, though. That's been what I've learned from all this is just because Lori used these words like, I saw Jesus in the flesh, that's not what it means to people on the outside of the church. People like me who've never been Mormon, never interacted. I mean, I didn't even know they were Mormon. Okay, that's how much I did not know. And so all that, yeah, thinking with their own head. So people on the outside were like, oh my God, Jesus in the flesh, what? And then all these different terminology, these phrases, all these things that sound foreign. They were foreign to me, still are. And I mean, I've studied this day in, day out for the past, let's say 3+ years. For sure, I went hard into Mormonism whenever Lori, you know, was extradited from Hawaii to Idaho, Rexburg. And whenever she walked in with her nose in the air, I'm telling you, I was like, what? And she was just confident, her shoulders back, her nose up, chin up, everything so arrogant, so flippant, arrogant. And just, it was like, F you to the world, basically. I know something you don't know. And I was like, what is that? Who is that person? Don't know who that is. Yeah. Heidi. Yeah. I've watched them. Sure have. You mentioned before not knowing what it was like. Oh no. Yeah. I know I've seen them. But like, I have to picture like, because they talk about the terrestrial, celestial, and then there's another upper room, right? That's the Holy of Holies, I would think. Because this is like me just trying to figure it out without ever having been in one. And like I compare it to like Disney World, Epcot Center, because it's like you go through evolution. That's what I picture the temple rooms being like, because of the names of them, And so I know you go into different rooms in the temple and they're called different things, right? It's crazy. Yeah. Big time. Jason has it where it's on the TV, my laptop, but it's way over there. So you can't see all of Heatley. Yeah. It is stupid. Stupid. Oh. squeaky wheel. I'm sure Larry's health would have been much better were he able to sit down and in the comfort of his own home and watch this trial on TV. Boyce could care less about the hardship he's caused on these families. Amen. And then out of nowhere, I didn't even know that they were, I don't know, Gene. Don't know. I don't know. Don't blame the kid, you know. This is tough. I didn't even know that Boyce was like considering. I didn't know it was a factor. So I was like, what? So why is he allowing the verdict to be aired publicly on his YouTube channel? You know what? Why? Well, like I mean, does this mean that there people were putting in requests, although he said no? So does the squeaky wheel get oiled, so to speak, you know? So whenever that came out, I was like, what? That's weird, you know? Like, that's just out of nowhere. I was not expecting. I'm glad, but I was not expecting that. Heidi says, yeah, there are 3 degrees of glory and each one has 3 levels. Right. Okay, so that is 9. Okay. 3, 6, 9. I use my fingers, yes. Yeah, Mel Mac. Big time. Big time. It's so gross too, right? And he used his Grandpa Keith. He used grandmother, Tammy's grandmother, Lucille. Like, and he even calls himself out like, hey, this is not a manipulation, by the way. Red flags, right? It's a manipulation, dude. Totally. Thank you, Heidi. I'm telling you, Lori, I know. I haven't even read the whole thing yet. Bumblebee. I'm telling you, Lori is not the first one who has said that. Some LDS apostles have said that. They have seen Jesus in the temple. I know. That's what I'm saying. You don't laugh at my purple pants. Right? So, I mean, this is just one of the many books. This is by Bruce R. McConkie, and it's The Mortal Messiah. And I mean, just this is online. I mean, you can find these things online, but here's the whole, let's see, the second comforter is what it's called. I'm going to just say in Mormonese because that's just in Mormon language. I don't know. And that's one of the things that drew me into, I'm the only one in my family for sure, as far as I know, that has gone this route as far as like learning more about Mormonism, because I wanted to know what the hell they were saying, because I didn't know what they were saying. I was like, huh? It's like walking into a country or a foreign country with their own language, you know, and you're just like, wait, what? And then when you learn that these things are just, you know, and it's just laced in all the scriptures. It's laced. I mean, the deception starts early, you know, especially to those that are born in the covenant, meaning those that were born with parents who are sealed so they don't have to be sealed to their parents, right? I mean, I can see it. It just stands out to me big time. Hey, baby. Mm-hmm. My Jason.
Be quiet.
You're trying to be quiet. Let's see. I have these tabs marked, but I have a lot of tabs marked.
It's on.
What?
It's on.
Insulin time. Insulin time. Oh, it's in? Well, good. Hold on. Just 1 second. A damn sprayer. The Discourse on the Law of Love. Like, I don't know. Whenever I looked up Bruce R. McConkie, it's called Mormon Doctrine. The name of his book or books are called Mormon Doctrine, and you're like, wait, what? And even though it was never, and you're never going to find, I assume, I'm never going to find anything that's tied directly to the church for liability purposes only, in my opinion. But it's the doublespeak that gets people into trouble, saying we don't teach that. Every member that's like, no, we don't teach that. We don't teach the 144,000. And I'm like, what? That don't even make sense, because I'm thinking in the beginning, I was like, well, you're Christian, so you believe in the Holy Bible. But then you come to find out that no, kinda. That's a half truth. And there's a lot of half truths that are very deceptive. And that's how, in my opinion, that's how the devil works. That's how Satan works. It's just enough to twist it to where it's just a bunch of subtle manipulations. And that's scary on itself, because you have such wonderful people, the blind sheep, and I feel like I feel for them, because this is their truth. This is what they know. This is all they know. And when you step outside that world, or when you come, let's say you show up here and you're like, what is this woman talking about? This is not my understanding of my church's teachings. This is not, she's wrong. She's anti-Mormon. She's, just, it really sucks. It's a shitty place to be, really. Because it's like, how do you, first off, not being a Bible scholar myself at all. I don't know. I cannot cite scriptures. I cannot, that's just not here to debate scripture. I remember telling myself, I was like, I will not learn scriptures. I will not, if, I'm studying all this stuff, I refuse to learn the scriptures. And then it's like, crap, here I am reading the scriptures, but I look at it like a story. That's kind of how I look at it. Especially with Nephi and all these characters I've never heard about before, ever. And I'm like, who the hell is Nephi? And who's Moroni, right? And then they're like, Moroni, the Gadian robbers. And I love you too. Where are you going?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm gonna be dead for a second.
Okay. Well, tell him we love him. He's going to see mom and dad.
We'll see him tomorrow.
Huh?
We're gonna see him tomorrow.
Yeah. Tell them we all said, all 350 of us say hi. And we love them.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the discourse on the two comforters. So my understanding is, without making all the damn noise I'm making, is that, and Jason's making, is that the first comforter is basically Jesus coming to you in spirit, whatever that means. And the second comforter is seeing Christ in the flesh in the temple, right? There's a certain location. And Melanie Gibb says it. Ooh. And let me turn that booger over. Let me look it up real quick, if you don't mind. Okay, where'd I put it? In videos, let's see. It's one of the temple ones, the projection. Oh, wait. That's not it. Babe, come on. I'm loud. I know. Well, go ahead. Yeah, I'm not doing anything. Okay. Is this it? No. Good gosh. I don't know why my videos come up like this. I need to put them in a better order. And did y'all hear about that news story about the author woman who killed her husband with fentanyl? I mean, this is not isolated. It's an epidemic then, you know. Oh, right. I do the same thing though. Where'd it go? Me too. I talked to this lady up here on the phone for like 2 hours straight on the deck. That's when I got sunburned at Jen's. We were just going. Yeah. Yeah, we just talked and she's like, I can't believe I have you on the phone. And I'm like, oh God, it's horrible. It's horrible, you know. Alabama Girl 67 says, I'm not religious and I totally have no idea what I believe. Right. But it's like in this group and groups around them, you know, just the culture, I guess. Don't come at me if it's not your experience. You know, I mean, I'm just having to generalize here. Hold on, Nadir. I'm going to come back to that one. I forgot where I was going with that. I'm sorry. That's me and my squirrel brain, right? Yeah, everybody's experience is not the same. It's different. Just everybody's an individual. You're the only you're ever going to be. Right, KJ? Right. And so there are people that live in other countries, you know, in Australia and England. Thanks for being here as well. You know, that have different experiences. It's like, this is like Utah and Idaho in the Mormidor. I don't know what else to say. It's like, I don't know. It's so hard because I don't want to offend anybody, but you know, I always am going to. Did Lori give Chad the go ahead for sex if you kill the kids? I'm serious, not joking. Something like that. I think so. But I mean, I think they were having relations way before. I mean, you're already committing adultery by the thought. And the, what Emma said, spiritual affair, you know, about her dad with Lori. So it's like, you may as well, you're already guilty. This religion really does come down on adultery more than I've seen about murder, you know, actually, which is kind of crazy. Right. Yeah. Yes. And it's not this confusing, and we don't have to know every aspect of which kingdom we're going to go into, you know, like just from observing and reading comments in these forums and stuff, you know, where they could have written about it so long ago or just recently, still talking about, you know, who's going to go to the terrestrial, and celestial kingdoms and who can minister to whom. And people are like, well, I mean, I'm like, wow, people are alive in this life, but they're hyper focused and so worried about the next one that they're not living this life. And then I'm like, well, then here I am not living this life, and I'm researching these people who do this, you know? So it's like, what the hell? Yeah, I get it. But I mean, I learned so much just from the comments. It's where it's always been. I just have to say that I'm not happy about Melanie P, right? I just want to grab her by her hair. I mean it. Uh-oh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and again, if I'm offending anybody, just kind of is what it is, you know? Verbal resolution. Yes, that's something that Jen has taught me. Your info, it's, I know people get, people who are not Mormon or ex-Mormon, or who have not had to, who don't know how Mormons work and operate, allegedly. One thing that Jen taught me, and again, I don't know if it was if it was intentional or if she really just thought this way because she was a Mormon, right? And she would say, yeah, the 144,000, that ties back in right here, DNC, blah, blah, blah. And to the Book of Mormon or Doctrine and Covenants or whatever. And I would just, I'd be like, well, Jen, but it ties into the Bible. And she was like, yeah, no, but, and she would just put the focus back on the Mormon aspect of it. And so after a while, I was like, I would talk to, I'd be like, I don't know if she does this on purpose or if she's, if she really believes this, and either way, it taught me a big lesson. And that is to tie it back to tie it back to source, because this is one way that the church distances itself from what it's teaching, in my opinion. Because all of a sudden, all these women, Christina Atwood, Nicole, Serena, all these witches, okay, and wenches. We'll just say wenches. And Zelima, all these ladies who are casting. It was weird. Anyways, they started saying, when questioned by authorities, they would start saying, oh yeah, it's found in the Bible. I caught Archibald trying to ask David Warwick. He was like, the 144,000, where do you learn that from? He's like, DNC, Doctrine and Covenants, which is, it's Mormonism. That's where Doctrine and Covenants come from, right? Ooh. And then Archie's like, well, doesn't it tie to the Holy Bible? And David Warwick's like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, you damn right you don't know. That's how much you don't know the regular Bible. And I'm not saying that the Bible is 100% either, because it's all just books from man. It's just not to be taken literally. It's to be just, this is my belief, it's just as a moral story, or I don't know, just don't be a shitty person, then you're all good, in my opinion. But they really don't. You're right. That's my opinion also. A moral guide. There you go, Olive Healy. Yeah. Oh, Rhonda, right? So I thought about you too whenever they called my mom Rhonda. And I was like, oh, help me, Rhonda. Right? What? Oh my God. It's so crazy. And it's all just they distance themselves, deny, lie, omit. Deny, lie, omit, distance. It's just, and I see this with the church too. And when I say the church, I mean leaders, upper management. I say upper management. Because when they're done with somebody, you're a piece of garbage. You're done. They label you and they ostracize you. Same thing with Chad and Lori. When they're done with you, they label you, dehumanize you, and ostracize. Or they get rid of you, and they're damn gonna, profit and, commit fraud and stuff. They're gonna do it for nothing. Oh, good. And I'm interested in that too, because spell the spell thingy, spellcasters. And I need to look more into it. I was just like, oh my God. It's crazy. Crazy. Yeah, I believe that too, Carrie. Yeah, I know. Lori C says Alex did not just fall over and die. Believing that is as naive as the portal story, in my opinion. Right. Come on, Yeah. Who all agrees with Bo Peep here? If I could have bitch slapped Mel G for every time she said, "Can I 100% believe it?" No, she wouldn't have a face left. Right? I'm not scared. I'm right there with you. Because, oh my God, these people are atrocious. They're gross. None of them possess. It's all just me. Nobody ever thought about the kids or Tammy or Charles or, Joe. Nobody ever thought about anybody but themselves in this. And for being a Christ-like, whatever, self-proclaimed Christ followers, no, Christ does not live here. Okay, not my Christ. I don't know who's. That's not it. No accountability, just me. Yeah, and this is weird, Mohawk Mom, because I was like, okay, well, let me research into this and see, what the guidelines are. What now, and as time has gone on, Mormons, they're not against cremation, but it's not really the standard, practice to cremate, which is suspect, it just, I don't know. And I'm like, why not cremate Tammy? Why? Is it because it would have sent red, was Chad scared to cremate Tammy, who was exhumed, and then turns out, she didn't just, peacefully pass away in her sleep with a smile on her face. Turns out it's just weird. So, and then you think of Janice and Barry and how Stacy, Melanie Pulowski's mom, she was buried, interred, not cremated. Laura, she was buried. I wonder if she was sacrificed. Just gonna throw that out there. Was Barry working in the temple at the time? I want to know. Because this isn't just Chad and Lori. This is. I wish I could tell y'all, but I can't. I don't. Not on an open platform. Not. Yeah, I know. Like the God of this universe. Ooh, wait. Like the God of this universe isn't smart enough to reassemble us at the snap of his fingers. Right. Mel Mac, I knew about Colby stuff, but not Mel P. It's squeaky. Yes. And to a point where I'm like, I wish they would just stop. It's gross. Like, I mean, I'm just like, that's enough. That is enough. I've had enough. It's pretty, they're sick. Hold on, let me go and turn this on. Okay.
Mormon, the New Testament, the Old Testament, even the Doctrine and Covenants, the premier miracle that people have talked about for thousands. That miraculous return will eclipse and all 5 senses of the telestial world that are being groomed.
So, had you ever known of anyone? Had you ever heard of anyone receiving it in life as an area authority? Had you ever? You're 3 years into your calling, had you ever known of anyone receiving it or heard of anyone receiving it?
I didn't know, but I heard in some way that my mother was there, but I didn't know.
That maybe your mom had received it,
Yeah,
but you weren't sure.
no.
Okay, because you're told not to tell
But
your kids.
I can put 2 plus 2, and that will be 4, and that's the way I know about it. But or at least understood about something like that.
Had your parents served as temple presidency
No,
or mission presidents
No,
or
my
state
dad
presidents?
was a district president.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you thought that maybe your mom had received it.
Yes.
Okay.
Sometime.
So you asked Razband about it.
Yeah, and he didn't like to talk about it at all.
What did he say?
I can't really remember, but he didn't say anything really because he was not supposed to say it.
Okay.
And afterwards, when I was there, I understood why, because he hadn't received it either.
He had not received it.
No.
Are you? Oh.
Ta-da! It's not in the book.
Ah, it's not in the book.
Okay. So he hadn't received it yet.
No.
Wow. Okay. What are some interesting things on Mormon Stories podcast? One of the most shocking things that I learned on Mormon Stories podcast was about the second anointing. Have you
I learned
covered that yet?
I learned it from you.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Have you covered it on your podcast
No,
yet?
I haven't.
Okay. Yeah. So like it's always crazy when you've been a Mormon your whole life for decades, going to BYU, going to gazillion hours of church, learning everything you can, and then you learn something completely new that's incredibly shocking and even revolting that was kept from you. And the second anointing is just that. So Orthodox Mormons or never Mormons, if you don't know, there's a super secret temple ordinance called the second anointing, which has been around since the time of
Yes.
Joseph Smith.
John DeLynn.
And it's basically how it happens is you're called, by your stake president, by one of your church leaders, and they say you and your spouse show up at the temple on a Sunday morning at 8 a.m. and don't tell anyone you're coming. Literally lie to your friends and family if they ask you where you're going. Keep it from them. Show up at the Mormon temple, and something very special is going to happen. So you show up, and you're there with like 5 or 6 other couples, and a Mormon apostle shows up. Now, in Mormonism, a Mormon apostle is viewed as a special witness of Christ. And Mormons are taught culturally to believe that the first presidency and the quorum of the 12 apostles, the 15 men that run the Mormon church, are all special witnesses of Christ, which means they talk to Christ.
Right, directly.
They've met Christ, they've spoken to Christ, and that's what we're all led to believe. So this person who knows Jesus on a personal level, one of the top 15 leaders of the church, is there, meets you at the temple, invites you in, and basically performs this holy ordinance for and with you and your spouse, basically promising you that you are going to become a God someday. You have arrived. You are not only going to make it to heaven, you're making it to the celestial kingdom, and not just the celestial kingdom, which is the third highest tier of heaven, but you're making it to the highest level of the celestial kingdom, which is the third tier in the third tier, where you're going to become exalted and be made a god and a goddess to rule over your own Mormon planet or planets someday. And so they do what's called the second anointing. And they basically anoint you and your spouse with oil. I guess they put oil on your head, and they anoint you with hand. I'm a
Don't they
little
wash
rusty,
your feet?
but they also wash your feet.
Mm-hmm.
The apostle, the representative of Jesus, washes your feet.
He does
and I don't, like, I'm rusty on the details, but there's feet washing involved. And eventually, I think the wife and the husband retreat into a room where the wife washes the feet of the husband.
Yeah, that
right?
checks out. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure the apostle washes the feet of the two.
Hans
of the couple.
Matson
I think.
is a Swedish.
You guys can go look it up.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong. I don't care. Enough of what I've said is right.
Yeah.
That I'll stand by it.
So I think this is where Melanie Gibb, I think,
actually get your calling and election made sure. You can guarantee
Tribes of Israel out of the north in all.
Lord himself. And for
Right here.
surprised by this. This is what.
You have all your social pressure from family.
Yeah, it's John
Yeah,
Delan.
of course it is. Then keep
And
paying
Joe Real
tithing at least.
from Radio
Also.
Free Mormon.
So her and I go to the temple. We go to the Phoenix temple because I remember the Gilbert temple was closed. So we're going in there. This is, if you're LDS, you're going to be surprised by this. This is where the deception really began. I go into the temple and I'm going to the dressing room. We're getting our white clothes on. And she is in the dressing stall. And I come out and I stand behind. They have an arch window in the Phoenix temple, right in the women's room. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I get this like heat all over my head. And I'm like, what's that? So I said, Lori. She comes out and said, feel my head. And she goes, oh, it's happening. And I was like, yeah, it's really hot on top of it. I didn't have a fever. Nowhere else on my body was hot. And it wasn't because the sun was coming through. It was really like this heat. It lasted for, I don't know, like a minute or two. And she's like, wow, it's happening. I'm thinking, wow, that's pretty awesome. I'm thinking that's good. And so anyway, we go into a couple of different rooms. I don't want to share too much because it's a temple. Right. But anyway, she thinks that she has the power to ordain me at that point to be part of this 144,000. And so she says a little prayer. That's her thing, her little prayers. And
did she say she got the keys to ordain you?
Yeah, from the Lord himself and from Moroni, herself in the temple, in the initiatories, in a certain location in the initiatories. And the interesting thing, I told this to Rob, the same place that Sulema said she saw the Lord was the same place he said. And I was like, how did that happen where she said the same place? And he goes, well, Melanie, people can have some psychological word. I don't remember what he called it. So the psychological word that she had this experience in there. And I was like, well, I never had anything like that. So I don't have the experience they do because I don't have visionary experiences. That's not me.
By and large,
Crap. My bad. I was like, thank you, Joe Jordan, for just hell is hot too, right? One day. So I mean, dark and light it's riddled and laced all throughout the scriptures. Hey Maureen, how you doing? Tanya. Anyways, I mean, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And it's just all code. When Lori said that she saw Jesus Christ in the flesh, that was code to say, hey, doesn't count for me. Slaps hand on counter, right? Doesn't count for me. Meaning she's exalted. That's a second comforter. That is the calling, or the calling and election made sure thing that Zulema was talking about in her testimony. Okay. I don't know, cherry pie. If it's for the merch, yeah, no, that went with the moderator who created it. I know. I've been working on it, but it's too much right now. Who are you? Who you are here to? I don't know what you mean, LA. Oh, you are here too? Okay, my bad. Yeah, everybody, if you think that Lori Vallow Daybell is guilty, go smash the like button. That's manipulation. or whatever, haha. And so in this little book, Doctrine and Covenants, section 87, right? And it's children. It is. Yeah, don't give me a highlighter because everything ends up highlighted. Oh, thank you, Mo. I don't know how to say it. But thank you. Mavet. I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry. But thank you. Me too, Carol, right? You just finished modding for Crime Talk. Well, glad to have you here. We like Scott. I hate hearing. I know. I only put it in my damn titles and stuff because of the search engine optimization thing. SEO, right? It's keywords. Sucks. She fought hard. And they killed people just to be gay now, Oh, hell. Anyways. I was saying about Val Brinkerhoff's papers. So, I ran across Val Brinkerhoff's papers, and it's basically crap. It's something I shared a while back, and this is taught. And the patterns that I see and the accusations that have, as David Levitt says, been debunked. I call bullshit because I know for sure Tylee, again, didn't just assemble herself. She was murdered brutally. And it was for religious purposes, religious beliefs espoused, whatever. They are Mormon. They were Mormon. It's all technicalities now, right? Distance, deny. It's too late, The church should have maybe fudged the date so that it was, say that they excommunicated him before the murders took place. But they didn't. So, let me open this up. Jason hooked to the Ethernet, so I hope the internet's better. Besides me muting myself. Let's see, projects. Whoa. Come on, Pokey. Okay. Oh, yeah, here's the Jesus card. Let me go share my screen again. This is the back of it. I've been looking for everything, right? Oh, nope. This one or this one? This one. Share. And so that's where, oh my gosh, it's too close. Here, I'll back that up. And back it up. Oh, that's as far as I can back it up. But it says, "Hi, Kay. This is the missionaries. We hope all is well. Give us a call when you can. Thanks, 409. On the other side, I can show you the Jesus, but I could point it out to you. The card's at home, which is crazy. It seems like I would have brought it. Let's see. And so I've been just trying to throw together Let's see. I think it's going to open up in another window. Come on. Come on, Pokey. All right. Let me make sure. Okay. Oop, oop. All right. Oh my gosh, it's being slow. Let me shut a few windows. Come on, Pokey. Wow. Let me back out some. Too dang close. Come on. I'm sorry, it's being so slow. Okay. So, these are just some influences, right? This is Adamondiaman right here. That's there. Visions of glory, y'all. In my opinion, it's basically the gateway. It's the gateway drug, into all this. This is something that stands out to me, and this is a Salt Lake Tribune article about the LDS Church has dodged hard questions of accountability. And I mean, just that on itself says a lot, and it's not just about the financial things that they've been caught, doing. It's not just because they didn't disclose their financials since 97 or 98 to the SEC. It says a lot about the character. You know what I'm saying? And so this article, it says, when church policies cause harm, we should admit fault, welcome suggestions, give public apologies, and make restitution. When news broke in February that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints had made extensive, years-long efforts to obscure the size of its $32 billion investment portfolio in violation of U.S. tax law, the church responded with a terse press release, seemingly confirming the closedness of the matter. The church's auditing report in the last general conference made no mention of the settlement with the SEC nor the $5 million fine leveled against the church and its investment arm, Ensign Peak. The announcement of compliance with, quote, church-approved accounting practices, unquote, rang rather hollow in the wake of such public revelations of impropriety. I was like, what the hell is that? It says, while the church may consider this matter closed, it remains very much open for members such as myself who question the purpose of various church practices and the vociferous defense of inadequate safeguards or apparent misconduct. Another such matter surfaced last year when the Associated Press published a lengthy report detailing how the church failed to report a horrific case of child SA to the law enforcement. While the church made a strong case affirmed by the Arizona Supreme Court last month that its legal obligations were met. See, it's all to the letter of the law, y'all. That its legal obligations were met with regard to the reporting of abuse in this instance, right? No part of the church's response evinced any self-accountability about why better policies didn't exist to require the reporting of abuse in the first place, why it continues to lobby against reforms, and they just won too, to clergy penitent privilege, which exempt religious leaders from reporting abuse learned in confessional settings, and what changes will be made to prevent similar tragedies in the future, right? These are just two examples of how the church has dodged hard questions of controversial aspects of the church's history, dealing with Black and Indigenous people, women, and the LGBTQ community provide opportunities, and I would argue moral obligation, for a grand project of truth and reconciliation. The strategy to ignore, downplay, or deny instances of harm does not befit the Church of Jesus Christ. We must have a higher, holier ethic of transparency and accountability. To me, this means that when church policies or practices cause harm, directly or indirectly, we ought to readily admit fault, welcome suggestions for improvement, give genuine public apologies, and make restitution as best as possible. To be clear, I truly believe that the upper leadership of the church and the vast majority of people working in advisory roles or serving in local leadership are honorable, decent people, trying the best they can to follow Jesus Christ and live his teachings. I'm certain that they abhor child abuse and are committed to following the law. These are just two examples of how the church has dodged hard questions of accountability and bristled at the mere suggestion of institutional fallibility. Too frequently, the church's structure and operations seem to prioritize image control. It's all about protecting its image. I'm going off on a little tangent right there, right? Of negative consequences. Too frequently, the church's structure and operations seem to prioritize image control and the avoidance of negative consequences. These choices have downstream effects. When the church declines to acknowledge faults, give genuine public apologies, and make necessary policy changes in the wake of justified criticism, it damages the trust of its members and validates its opponents. I mean, gosh, that's so such a truthful statement. Well, talking openly about such issues should not be seen as petty fault finding, right? That's what I do. Certainly, there are honest mistakes made in the course of church service that don't deserve public criticism. However, when church policies and practices become a source of harm, we need not stand idly by, or worse, impulsively rush to defend them. It is precisely because I'm a member and one in position of authority that gives me a heightened sense of responsibility for calling out misconduct and harm. It is my sincere hope that the church can become a model of transparency and accountability and fearlessly pursue healing and justice for all in an age when declining institutional trust is a feature of every generational cohort and affects virtually every major institution, including religion. Oh, I hate that. There has never been a better time for swift, bold action to restore trust. And so that's who wrote it, right? Now that's the name of that book from Bruce R. McConkie. I don't know why it's blurry, but Mormon Doctrine. These are just some of the subjects, that are found in it. I threw that in. Chad's trust level scale. Then enter Brother Mike Stroud, right? What do you get when you combine Denver Snuffer and Robert Norman? Mike Stroud. That's from Wheat and Tares, I'm sorry. Another podcaster excommunicated, but maybe not for the reason you think. This is Chad's books, It's Julie Rowe. Doing what Julie Rowe does. And then let me back out some more. Well, good gracious. There's Hector Sosa right here, Chad Daybell right here, and Mike James here. This is about, I became acquainted with Brother Stroud's ideology earlier this summer when his podcasts were recommended to my ward's gospel doctrine class. He seems like a nice, sincere guy. The way he talks reminds me of one of my favorite Sunday school teachers, a blue collar, no nonsense, authoritative figure, y'all. And he was, had a big influence on Jason Mao in Jason Mao's life because he was Jason Mao's seminary teacher. Jason Mao is now a seminary teacher. That means they work for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Okay. But Brother Stroud this is where I got confused because I was like, okay, I don't understand. Why are people saying that this is part of all these movements, right? There just shouldn't be this many movements as what I'm basically getting at. God is not complicated, but this is so complicated. Everything about this is complicated. And these are people and podcasts that Lori for sure, and from Heather Daybell, when she mentioned Mike Stroud to Chad, and Chad's eyes got big. I mean, it's very telling, It's not isolated. It is an epidemic in Mormonism, in the culture, in my opinion. And so y'all have done videos, where it was John Dehlin, and he was talking about Robert Norman. Let me see. Let me get to it real quick, and I'll share it with you. Allegedly. Oop. Okay, videos. Oop. Oh, that's why that video didn't publish. Okay. I was like, wait, what? I uploaded a video that I did like August. I think it was Uncle Charles's birthday of 2022. And I just uploaded it. And it was about Mike Stroud. But it didn't go right. It says. All right, let me go to the next page. Give me a second. It's a lot of places to have to pull from, To me, that's been the most challenging thing, is just trying to share with you what I've read. Because, as soon as I get off here, I start reading again. And then by the time the next live comes around, I'm like, I don't know what to talk about. It all just kind of runs in together for me. So I just chomp at it like I do. And I appreciate your... Oh, well, here's Brother Hiram. Andrus. Oop, 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 oop. No. Anyways, let me go back. Hopefully it'll bring me back to the same place. It did. No, it didn't. Oh, okay. This is Brother Hiram. Andrus. Let me share this one. Share this tab. And this is just a clip, and I'm pretty sure it came from Mike Stroud's YouTube channel. Well, everything's so damn difficult. Difficult research. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let me open it in another window. And then let me try and share it. Oh, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Oh my gosh. Share this tab instead. My bad.
So that's the fifth seal. Now the sixth seal then, when it's opened, is the ordination of the second coming. Now, Christ does not come in the sixth seal or at the end of the sixth seal. We've got a bunch of literature out that had never really done their homework in relation then to the prophetic events. Let me turn, for example, to section 77 again. And let's go back and pick up this picture from the prophet Joseph Smith. He's talking now here about the events to take place as depicted in Revelation chapter 8 and 9. Now, let me just fill you in beforehand. Revelation chapter 6 is an overview, prophetic events of the last days, beginning then with the warfare against Zion, centering on through, and the sixth seal is the ordination of the second coming. I emphasize the, okay? Chapter 6, get to that, the break, that deals now with the calling of the 144,000 great high priests of the Holy Order, whose mission it will be to gather people into the church of the firstborn, the sanctified church, the church prepared for the second coming of Christ. It's this church that's going to be caught up to meet Christ, and the 144,000 have that ministry. And then they do their work. They do their work in a period of 21 months, 21 years plus. After the opening of the seventh seal, there is silence in heaven, not on earth, in heaven, for the space
in the 80s
of 1/2 hour, or about, it says 1/2 hour. 1/2 hour would put it in the Lord's time, 21 years. About indicates it can be a little more than that, you see. And it's during that period of time when the heavens look on with awe and silence that the 144,000 go forth in the earth. Their plagues, their judgments, and their ministry is to bring people into the church of the firstborn. And then after that, the great cleansing plagues begin to take place. And there are 7 of them, and they're spoken of in the 8th and the 9th chapter of the book of Revelation. And let's read now what the prophet Joseph has to say about that. He says, when are the things to be accomplished which are written in the 9th chapter of Revelation? Now the 8th chapter, he's verse 12, mentioned in the 8th. Well, his answer then basically is this. He says, they are to be accomplished after the opening of the 7th seal, before the coming of Christ. Now, is Christ going to come at the opening of the 7th seal in his great world appearance? And the answer is no. Why? Because these last great plagues and judgments that cleanse the wicked from the earth,
this is Brother Hiram
and this is merely
Andrews.
the parable of the wheat and the tares. The 144,000 gather the wheat.
Brother Hiram
They
Andrews.
gather them into the church of the firstborn. That's the bin. And they organize them according to the holy order as the Lord revealed to Joseph Smith in section 86 of the Doctrine and Covenants. And then when they're gathered in, and the Lord comes to his temple, and the great Adam-on-Diamond Council is held in connection with that great gathering and its accomplishment, then the great plagues are poured out, and the wicked are cleansed from the earth. And this is spoken of then in Revelation chapter 8 and Revelation chapter 9. You see that? In that sense, then, the prophet says these things are to be accomplished after the opening of the 7th seal, before the coming of Christ. So Christ doesn't come at the opening of the 7th seal. 1/2 hour silence. And then there's plagues. And
That's the July 22nd date.
That the wicked are
Half
gathered to
hours long.
Jerusalem for the great abomination of desolation. And the last stage of that period of things is 3.5 years. There's a longer period that leads into it, but the last stage of it will be a 3.5 year period of time. And then you'll have, after it then, the opening of the great 7th plague, as Christ stands then on the Mount of Olives, and the wicked are cleansed. But Christ doesn't come then until sometime way after the opening of the 7th seal. You see that? Now, when people put Adam-on-Diamond before the year 2000, they don't know the prophetic picture. When they put Christ coming to his temple before the year 2000, they don't know what they're doing. Now, we've got some literature out, and Somehow someone got one to me somewhere that's all geared up with those great events in the 3.5 years now, somewhere in the 90s, and it's just a bunch of garbage. Leave it alone. Well, read it. If you can't separate the wheat from the chaff, go ahead and eat the chaff. Okay. Now, in that sense then, let's just conclude here, and then we'll take a little break. The book of Revelation, instead of one great chronological event, one after another, is actually a series of spotlights on the last days. John sees, for example, the 4 beasts and the elders. He sees the book, and that gives you orientation. He's seen the new heaven and the new earth. And then in Revelation chapter 6, he sees an overview. He sees the 4 beasts. He sees the wailings of the martyrs. And then he sees the second coming ordained under the 6th seal, but fulfilled in the 7th. It's like the creation. Man was ordained to be placed on earth on the 6th day. He was placed on earth, in actual fact, on the 7th day. Go read, for example, the book of Abraham and the book of Moses. The book of Abraham in particular makes it very, very clear that they came down to place man on earth. And then the 6th day terminates, and the 7th day ordained. But man is ordained to be put on earth in the 6th day, and it's fulfilled in the 7th. Similarly, then you have the same kind of a situation. The second coming is ordained under the 6th seal, but it's fulfilled under the 7th seal. And then after that, then John sees this special spotlight of the 144,000. And then he sees chapter 8 and 9, which is the plagues. And then he sees chapter 10, which is a spotlight on himself, John the Revelator, with a little book that he's given, which is his ministry to gather the tribes of Israel. And then he sees another spotlight, and this is on the Jerusalem scene, the prophets that are raised up in the period when the nations of the earth gather against Jerusalem in the great abomination of desolation. And then he sees chapter 12, and this is one of the most meaningful chapters. He sees the war in heaven, and it's a type and shadow of the warfare against Zion on earth. And we want to get to that, particularly from the entire division of the book of Revelation. And then he sees chapter 13, which is a portrayal of the 2 great beasts that make war, Babylon and the Assyrian, or the little horn, or the northern army. You see that? Then he sees chapter 14. And chapter 14 then gives us the count of the angel flying through the midst of heaven to restore the gospel. And it seems like it's all out of kilter. I mean, after all, you've talked about the 2 prophets in chapter 11, and you've talked about the 2 great powers in chapter 13, and then chapter 14 opens up, and you say that has to do with the restoration of the gospel, clear back here before the book of Revelation even gets into gear to be fulfilled. You see that? Now, why? Well, you hold on to that one, and there's a real reason why, and it's a very beautiful one, and we'll get to it.
Okay, now hold on. Hold, please.
We ain't seen nothing yet so unique that a group of gatherers have come together.
Well, brothers and sisters, I'm very happy to be here today.
Right there. Okay. November 16th, 17th, and 18th of 2018. Chad and Lori were in attendance. Mike Stroud's about to say, it's good to see Thor, Chad, Mike James, and Jason, Mal. And I've always suspected that this is the weekend that they don't believe Melanie Gibb, okay? But at least she finally puts them in the temple, okay? Because so many people, so many Mormons, ex-Mormons, have said that it's impossible to just go juking around in the temple. You don't just, there's temple workers. There's, you know. And I mean, I've taken that, I'm like, well, maybe they did a proxy sealing, whatever. Either way, they were very comfortable with going into the temple with their adulterous affair. with Audrey Baratero, Zalema, Alex, would go hang out in church parking lots. That's creepy as hell. That's scary as hell. And if I were a Mormon, I would be concerned by this. Okay. And I'm saying that because I don't want your family to get murdered or to become a cautionary tale, But either way, they're in this temple, which I think, in my opinion, from our research, everything that Lori has said has been the language that is said in a secret second anointing. It's sacred to a Mormon. It's secret to the rest of us. Anyways.
And Thor and Chad and Mike, Jason, gosh, this has been amazing. I've never been to one of these before. And I'm just so glad that I was here. Margie and I looked at each other and said, boy, we're just enjoying this so much today. This has been great.
Rapture. They think it's the end times.
Well, brothers and sisters, thank you for coming here tonight. This is remarkable. I've thought about this today and who's going to be here and who you are. I think this is so unique that a group of gatherers have come together. This is a time of gathering. The time of scattering is past. We're about to enter into a new dispensation. We're about to end one called the Day of the Gentile. We're about to enter a new one called the Day of Israel. Tragedies. Someday in the future, you're going to receive something called the fullness of the Melchizedek priesthood. That's a required thing for you to have in order to be one of the 144,000 men. Women can also be a part of the 144,000 and will be. When you receive the fullness of the priesthood, men become kings and high priests, and women become queens and priestesses. And that's about all I can say on that right now. That's what you need to take this to Father and say, what is this fullness of the Melchizedek priesthood? Go into the internet, Google that up, bring it up, do some research.
And so that's a good point right there. It's not hard to find. You can just go and Google that up. That's what's crazy about this thing. And it's so hard, again, to link back up to the church because the church is careful. It's very careful. Okay. That way it's not liable for what is purporting, in my opinion. This is just my opinion from my experience. I mean, I want to be able to share my truth with you. Anyways, it's such a hard position to be in.
Church. And when you feel like you have sufficient knowledge, then go to the Father in the name of his Son and start to inquire and plead to obtain and receive.
And that's the other thing. You have to go to the veil, basically, is what he's saying. And he's about to say, have a list. I'm like, why do you need a list if you're talking to God? But what he's saying is, have a list, and you have to inquire and plead to obtain and receive, like those blessings, right? Like polygamy. I want to be sealed. I'm ready. I'm doubling down. And so I feel like Chad and Lori were just kind of set up by the church, in my opinion, allegedly. And we're still together because, and I've got it on this video, I think this is what happened to Robert Norman, in my opinion.
There is a law in heaven, brothers and sisters. It's an eternal law, almost without exception. Answers to questions are never given unless the question's asked. We need to learn to ask and ask a lot. You should have a list of questions that you can take in your prayers to Heavenly Father. You let the Spirit give these. And when you part the veil and you stand in the presence of those persons on the other side, you want to have a list of things to ask them. At that point, when you're there and you say, oh my, I'm here, and you can't remember one thing to ask, you want to be prepared for that, because that's what you're striving to do. So prepare now, ask the questions, have them written out, taken to Him now in prayer and in fasting, receive answers through the Holy Spirit, and be prepared also to ask those questions when you see as you're seen and hear as you're heard. Okay? By and large, the Day of the Gentile is an Aaronic priesthood.
Oh my gosh, this dude here.
Foundationalness.
The video is linked in my.
Ceremony. You can see that the robes represent priesthood
I'll link
authority.
it.
Where the robe's placed represents either Aaronic or Melchizedek. If you'll watch the next time you go through the temple and see where you're at and what time represented by the various rooms that you proceed through, you'll see that what I'm saying is true. And that we're about to enter into a day of miracles that will eclipse anything you have read about in all of the standard works of the church. We ain't seen nothing yet.
That's not even bullshit. We ain't seen nothing yet. This was in 2017 when he said that. And I'm like, oh, holy crap.
Jeremiah says this, that the days will come when we'll no longer talk about the children of Israel being brought through the Red Sea. You can read about this in the 16th chapter of Jeremiah. All through our written books, our scriptures, the Book of Mormon, the New Testament, the Old Testament, even the Doctrine and Covenants, the premier miracle that people have talked about for thousands of years and still talk about today is the parting of the Red Sea, isn't it? It's the one that the Lehi colony referred to over and over again. It's that miraculous deliverance of the house of Israel from the Egyptian armies. Jeremiah says, you're in a day where we won't talk about that anymore. And the reason we won't talk about that is the miracle that we'll talk about is the return of the tribes of Israel out of the north. And that miraculous return will eclipse, and all of the minor other miracles, sub-miracles that will be a part of that will be so dynamic that for generations from that time forward, that's what they'll talk about. And you and I, brothers and sisters, are living in that time when the preparations right now are being made for that to happen. That's going to require a group of men and women who have priesthood power, that can perform miracles, that can command the elements, and can have power over time and space. And three-dimensional, five senses of the telestial world will be a thing of the past. We'll move into multi-dimensional space, and many more senses that we don't use in the telestial world will be open to us. You are the group that are being groomed for that. Why do you think you're here?
You are the group that are being groomed for that. Why do you think you're here?
So unique that a group of gatherers have come together.
Is November 26, 2018, and we are our very first podcast. My name is Jason Mao, and to my left is...
So I want to know, where in the hell is the podcast that was done on September 22nd of 2019, whenever my nephew was murdered? Where's that podcast? Have y'all seen it? Heard it? Nothing? No? Me neither. Pisses me off. I was like, wait a minute. Whoa. Is it smoke and mirrors? You know, did they even have a podcast? I doubt it. If they did, I want to hear the damn thing. You know?
Melanie Gibb.
Melanie is awesome, for those of you that don't know who she is. She has some amazing abilities, amazing gifts. She is what we in the business call a gatherer. And people are naturally attracted to her because of just the light that beams out of her. The first time I saw her, I knew instantly that she was a gatherer, and she's become basically the point person here in the Southwest area for like-minded people to start focusing on greater light and knowledge and learning a lot about themselves and about the Lord and what it is that He wants from us. And so I am honored to have her to my left.
Thank you.
Also with us today is
Lori.
And Lori is so cool. Lori and I met in a very, very unique situation.
Very unique. Very, very. Ugh.
And real quick, Lori, let's talk about that before we start, because people don't even know who you are. Well, people in the know who you are, but one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast is so that we can spread the light of knowledge and help people learn about who they are and find their gifts and draw closer to Christ. And what happened to you was pretty unique, and how we ended up in the same room together is even more unique. So can we start off with that?
We can. It's so fun to be here with Jason and Melanie. I love them so much and grateful for them and all their service that they do. I feel like that I work for the Lord. I feel like I've turned my life to Him from circumstances that have happened to me in my life. And I ask Him who He wants me to meet, who He needs me to go to, and what He wants me to do. And I was sent to the temple on a certain day to get a message from someone, and in walked Jason Mao.
And when I looked at you, when I looked into your eyes for the first time and really saw who you were inside, I instantly knew you're one of us. You're a gatherer. You get it. You understand that there's something bigger going on here than just church on Sunday, that this is the end times, and you are awake, you are prepared, you are moving in that direction. And I saw that in just a half a second of that brother and sister connection that we made. And I just knew right away I had to get you in touch with Melanie, and we needed to connect somehow. And so that's how one thing led to another. And then Melanie, you got the idea to start doing a podcast so that we could kind of just spread the good word.
Yeah. So once, and I've known Jason for a while now, and meeting Lori, I knew that there was a message that we needed to share. And one of the things that we all have in common is we have all been changed by Jesus Christ. And we've all woken up. We've gone through some incredible trials. And so I knew that there's many people that are becoming aware that either they want to be more awakened or they already are beginning to be. And so they wanted to learn more about some of the things that we've gone through, some of the trials that we've gone through, to help us have that mighty change of heart. And I've been wanting to do this for a very long time. About 10 years ago, I had my experience with the mighty change of heart and have started to write a book about that experience.
Very cool.
Yes. And
that's,
so
writing books is it's a difficult thing to do. I'm speaking from experience here.
Right.
Tooting his own
and
horn.
So we thought it would be fun to start to share some of those things that we've learned with each other. And so today we wanted to get together and start to share our journees individually. And we're going to start out with hearing a little bit more about Jason's journey, because Jason, many people have heard him throughout the valley and through the nation. He's taught the youth all over the place. But a lot of times people don't have the opportunity to ask him certain questions about that particular journey and how he got to where he has gotten. And so we thought we would give an opportunity for him to start sharing some of those experiences in a little bit different perspective, a little unique way today.
Hey, Linda, my cousin.
Good morning, Arizona. I am a meeting question that systems and morals set by inspired men like John Adams.
I actually have information on,
and it is America.
I'm going to speak briefly about Robert Norman, because I actually have information on who Robert Norman.
Y'all, to me, this sounds identical. Like it's the same story, different characters. This is how I see Robert Norman. He was, I don't know, there's a BYU speech still up on the BYU YouTube channel, where he's this long 53-minute speech, okay? And it's about the millennium. And anyways, he resigned from the church, or he was going to get excommunicated. What it is, I think, is all these people who end up being like accused of starting their own offshoot. It's a way for, in my opinion, the upper management to label, distance, deny, lie, omit, sever ties. It's like these people, when you tell somebody that they're exalted, it's a power trip. And these are, let's say they're born in, people are like, well, how can they believe in all this? How? But when you're born in the covenant, when you're born into this religion and you have no other outside resources, or diversity, to really see, how other people are, and how they worship, how they believe, then it creates this toxic, it basically sets you up for failure, because one day it's gonna fall out. It's horrible. But anyways, this reminds me of Charles and Lori and Tammy and Chad. Just listen to how John Dehlin explains this.
Norman is. So Robert Norman, apparently he was a CES employee, a church education system employee, taught institute and seminary for something like 30 or 40 years, a long time. Expert in the Old Testament. And as I understand it, Dallin Oakes's wife used to love to attend his evening seminars about the Old Testament. Anyway, at some point, Robert Norman himself started teaching or discussing having seen Christ. So in that sense,
What? He saw Christ. That's called the second comforter. Okay. I mean, it's just code word for, hey, I'm exalted. Okay.
he's sort of in the green because he's talking about seeing Christ, which is ironic that that's a bad thing now. Seeing Christ is a bad thing. But anyway, what Robert Norman basically, apparently how he views himself, there's a saying called end time servant. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of that, but apparently it's a phrase that.
And from researching all this, the end time servant, I think, is basically not, and I mean, in this context, I'm not saying how it should be. I don't know. But the end time servant, I think, are the 144,000 that they're choosing or allegedly choosing, anyways, it's gross. It's just a game, I think, that they play. Like I said, a role-playing game. That's what it is. Basically, Barbie and Ken, 2.0. It's weird.
Comes out of scripture that refers to someone who believes that they are going to be the person that ushers in the second coming. So I don't know if it's the same thing as the one mighty and strong or if it's different, but Robert Norman views himself as the end time servant. He believes that he's seen Christ, and apparently
right here's where it really sounds like what happened to Charles and Tammy and I mean Charles and Lori, Tad and Tammy.
He has developed a relationship with someone that at the time wasn't his wife, and during that relationship received a revelation that God sealed this new person to him such that he could be married to her while his other wife was still alive.
That always happens. It always happens.
And this woman, by the way, it was another man. And so Robert Norman became sealed by God to this other woman while his wife was alive. And the local leadership found out about it and
because they knew about it,
wanted to excommunicate him. So apparently he's resigned from the church. Now his former wife is no longer living, so he is apparently married legitimately to this new wife, or at least he's no longer in adultery. And apparently people who follow him don't know a lot of this, and so they have the impression that he was nudged out of the church because of his doctrines and his teachings, but in reality he resigned to avoid being excommunicated.
Bam. Right? Sounds identical. I believe that Robert Norman and this woman he met and had a revelation, as John said. I don't believe it was a revelation. I believe it was he took part in the second anointing, him and this woman. And it echoes Chad and Tammy and Lori and Charles so much that I couldn't help but include this in here to try and show you guys, to see if you guys can see the same thing that I see. It's the second anointing, and it has to be a leader of the church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in order to invite one to said second anointing. It's secret. It's not sacred. It happened back in Joseph Smith's time, and why would it stop? Nothing else has stopped. So it reoccurs, but it's so hush hush and secret that people will, I guess, murder because they think they're exalted, or they're told they're exalted. All this mumbo jumbo, all this crazy talk that we have heard come from Lori about she's the queen of the 144,000 and she's ushering in the second coming of Jesus Christ. No, that is all. Somebody told that to her. She's not crazy. Somebody told her that to her. She believes it. Does that make her crazy? No. Murdering or having your kids murdered or your husband's wife of 29 years, that makes you crazy. So, I don't know. Don't shoot the messenger. This is just what I see. I hope you guys can see it too, because I feel like the church is involved from jump, from the very beginning, from second anointing. I think like-minded people that we hear from Mike Stroud. I've seen it all over AVAL and Jason Mal. Gatherers, like-minded people. They're recruiting. It's a MLM recruiting. Bam. Here's your 2 tickets to paradise. You are exalted. And there's an account from Tom Phillips, which I have on this video. He and his wife took part in the second anointing and was led to believe that he was going to meet Jesus Christ in the flesh. That's called a calling and election made sure. It's called a second comforter, not the one you throw on your bed when it gets really cold outside. A second comforter is seeing Christ in the flesh. They say it comes first spiritually, and then the second time it comes to you in the flesh. Jesus Christ in the flesh. I don't know how they pull that off, or if they have an actor that shows up and yeah. So there's no way to prove it, because unless more people come forward and call this out, call it for what it is, because it is what it is. It sucks. It is deceptive. It is not so secret. That was fun. And it destroys lives. So there you go. I think that what we've heard of Lori, claiming to be a goddess and a god and leading the 144,000 into the new millennium is something that was told to her and Chad, allegedly, possibly. All this is alleged. Trust me. This is just me. So we already thought she was crazy, right? Okay. So she's got all these allegations. It's in the court documents with my uncle. She had told it to my uncle.
Going on tonight?
I can't get in touch with my kids.
How old are your kids?
6.5 and 16. Okay.
How long have you been trying?
2 days.
Okay.
But she's lost her mind. I don't know how else to say it. We're LDS. she thinks she's a resurrected being and a god.
I had sound trouble with this
One
one.
of the
Sorry.
144,000 men, women can also be a part of the 144,000 and will be.
When she's come, Jesus is coming next year.
So what makes her a danger to herself and to
She's
others?
threatened me, murder me, kill me.
She threatened to murder you?
Yes. And she said,
How did she do that?
My bishop right there is in the car. He was on the phone with me today when she said, I will have you destroyed. Is what she said there.
Okay, that's not a threat to kill you.
Yesterday was a threat to kill me.
Okay. What did she say yesterday?
She said, you're not Charles. I don't know who you are, what you did with Charles, but I can murder you now with my powers.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Says I'm gonna kill you too. Yesterday was
So she's speaking as a spiritual being.
She's not here. She's lost her.
She's speaking as a god, or a member who got exalted, who got told she was exalted, in my opinion.
It's gotten really, really bad lately. She goes to the temple every day and speaks with Moroni and Jesus Christ. And they tell her what to do. And now she came to her today and
Again, sound problems.
says, I'm not Charles.
Don't know why I did that.
Nick Schneider. I don't know where she gets his names from. She got all this stuff from these people in Utah who tell her how many past lives she's had and probation she's had. And she's was married to Moroni way back when, and she was also married to James the Just. And
Okay, this is all foreign to me. So
it's foreign to me.
Well, I'm not LDS.
It's crazy stuff.
I know you're using LDS terms here.
But it's just she's.
It's designed to make a person sound crazy. Crazy talk to him, to me, to you, and everybody else, except for those who know. The truth shall set you free. I'm not doing this to exonerate Chad and Lori at all. Y'all, that's my nephew, that is my uncle, and that is my step cousin Tylee. I mean, this is my family, and they have this is a hot mess. But I do feel that they deserve a fair trial without any corruption, please. Any further corruption of that. Just want a fair trial. I want the whole story. It's for the victims. They're not here. They were blotted out or whatever. The story needs to come out. The darkness needs to come to light so that it will tell Tammy, JJ, Joe, Charles, and JJ's stories
Tylee.
for them. It's for the victims. So, and it's for Chad and Lori to have a fair trial. So I ain't got to deal with this shit for the rest of my life. You know, with all the appeals, and I'm good. I'm good. You know, I'm sure my family would agree. I don't speak for them, but just saying, it makes sense to me. Why be dirty? And just as Robert Norman's wife died, that's scary. I was like, I mean, I need to research further into that and see what she died from. It would be interesting. It echoes Tammy. It echoes Charles. It echoes so much for me. There's no way. There's no coincidences in this. I don't understand. There can be no other explanation besides the second anointing, in my opinion. So I'm going to do a little reading. That is an account online. Let me see. Y'all can catch this. Of the second anointing ordinance. It says, and okay, I'm messing things up. Outline of the ordinance. Number 4, who that would be the prophet, is performed by or under the direction of the prophet Nelson. That would be the prophet who was, that's during his, I guess, reign of profiting. I don't know. Number 4, the ordinance was used once in the days of the prophet Joseph to seal individuals up to eternal life, but it is not used for that purpose today. The ordinance cleanses the brother from the blood and sins of this generation. Number 6, this
All right, I need
ordinance
to fast forward.
are dressed in their temple robes. Number 5, the officiator does not have to dress in his robes. Okay. Number 6, the husband leads and
then he made the slide.
He also, though, I would say most people still think that he's in the church. In fact, they've been publishing, I think Meridian Magazine published an article just last year on his stuff. So what Robert was really good at, he was so good at theology. He was starting to develop what I see as sort of like a radicalized view of Mormon Jesus. It's a very good interpretation, but he comes up with like this graph of how to understand Christ and our relationship with Christ. And that is used and still published. And the problem is it goes with this little bubble on the screen about people not getting enough. The problem is Robert Norman's interpretations aren't incorrect. So they're very appealing to people. But once you give a man like that who knows his stuff, that kind of platform, you can look him up. He's all over LDS.org. They quote from him. He's been
in the Ensign talks.
And so as far as most people are concerned that don't know anything about him, they can look him up, and he's on LDS.org. And what that means for a Latter-day Saint is he's legit because he's on the site. And his theology is really interesting, and it's really compelling. And so again, this whole like not getting enough at church, it's a major problem for the LDS church. And I've been saying this on my podcast, Year of Polygamy, but ever since we abandoned polygamy, there's nothing interesting about Mormonism anymore. The church had to get rid of everything.
There's still blood atonement.
Apart from mainstream Christianity.
You know?
He discusses this concept further. Wickedness is a matter of degree, and even those who are upright and decent by worldly standards, but who reject the gospel and do not worship the true God, are considered to be wicked by gospel standards. They are under the bondage of sin.
I mean, this is your dark and your light. Totally.
They do not accept the message of the restoration and gain a remission of their sins in the waters of baptism. And by this you may know the righteous from the wicked, and that the whole world groaneth under sin and darkness even now. Thus the divine word is given by Zechariah, says that it shall come to pass in the millennial day that everyone that is left after Armageddon of all the nations which came against Israel shall even go up from year to year to.
Had been told that we wouldn't be on our own, that there would be some other couples there as well. So
this
we
is
weren't
Tom
the only
Phillips.
couple. I think there were 4 or 5 couples, including us. Okay.
And were these
So it's
people you would have known? Were these people that you would have?
Yes, I did know when I saw that. I mean, none of us knew before that day that each of us had been invited. But when when we saw one another, I think of the 5 couples, I knew 4. There was one.
Okay.
So it was that kind of a situation. One of them, which I did know, is actually a returning mission president who'd been serving in our area, and he's actually American. He was on his way back to America. But again, just because some people speculate, who gets these? Is it mission president? No, in this case, and I got the impression he was getting it not because he was mission president, but because there was another reason. So it's hard to say who categorically gets these and who doesn't. Obviously, all of the 70. Well, at least the first and second quorums do. Anyway, I won't go further. Anyway, so we met other people there. So, I knew all, but I think there was one couple I didn't know.
Okay.
And we're greeted there by Elder Ballard, and also.
Y'all remember how? Hold on, let me pause it.
Because the actual temple president, he was.
Ballard and Renland, according to the infamous Reddit email. Ballard and Renland are zombies, right? If y'all remember that. When I read it out loud, it's like one thing to just read it, but when I read things out loud, things tend to like, I don't know. It's like, I'm like, oh crap, I never realized this before, and that's why or how I think I figured out who the 3 Nephites were. The 3 Nephites, it's all code names, and I've shared that before on here. It's the code names were used in Joseph Smith's time and since. That's the Raphael. That's John or James the Lust. I'll call him James the Lust because that's what Chad. he wishes he was James the Just, but he's James the Lust. So it's not like, it's a learned behavior, in my opinion, because they're taught this. Monkey see, monkey do. You know, it's not a far stretch. The only thing that was different was zombie, the term zombie. And it, you know, according to Melanie Gibb, it wasn't a term used the entire time. It was just towards the end, you know, and it makes me wonder. It makes me question, you know, the role that I believe upper management played in this, and accounts that I've listened to and read about ritual murder. It does exist. And people like to throw labels on people, on victims especially. And because it's something that our minds just don't want to come to terms with, you know. It's very uncomfortable to believe that people are sacrificing children for their pleasure, you know, for their religious beliefs, so to speak. So what is that? How, what, you know, it just doesn't make sense. And it doesn't bring justice to Tylee and JJ for sure, or Charles and Tammy and Joe and any other victims who have died from this, who have, you know, been dubbed an urban legend, basically. They've been dubbed mentally unwell, mentally unfit, mental. They dub you as crazy, and then the shit continues. And I don't stand for that. Never will. If not, then I'm smacking Tylee and JJ in the faces, and I refuse to do it. Just because it's uncomfortable, you know, I can get over my uncomfortableness, you know, for them, for their stories to come out, because it's not fair. It's not their fault. Anyways, it really sucks. Because, I mean, just Google it. Just Google ritual murder, DJ Norman. I need to have him on here, y'all, because he explains it. But it's so complex. You know, every date of these murders, he has figured out forwards, backwards, side to side, which dates they correspond with. It's a hierarchy. It's it's bloodlines, you know? And so those of us that, quote unquote, you know, don't make that don't make it or whatever, we're dubbed as Gentiles, dark, you know, dark, so to speak. And it's really gross to witness, to see, like, to observe the extensive measures people will go to cover this up, to discount and dismiss the victims who are not here, to say one way or another, to continue to protect an incorporation, corporate Jesus, who doesn't give two shits about you, you know? As long as you're paying your tithing, and as long as you are conforming and not asking too many questions within the church, in my opinion, you're okay. When you start asking questions, when you start to question their authority, you're out. You're out. And then you're ostracized. And for a Mormon, that is detrimental, because the way it's set up is so that they depend on their community, you know, family home evenings, Sunday school, you know. I mean, they depend on their community members so much, right? And I commend them for that. But when that's taken away, isolation, that's outer darkness, so to speak. Outer darkness to a Mormon is the worst thing. It's just being alone, right? That's what outer darkness is for a Mormon. And I mean, good God. So I just feel bad for those, who just don't, I don't know. I hope that, this doesn't happen again, although it already is, it's already happening again. It just, I'll never stop, I'll never stop because I just want to see justice for the victims. That's it. So, Lee here says the entire Jesus story is a blood sacrifice story. And end of time story, doomsday. It's the basis of all Christian religions. Jesus sacrificed himself, right? Well, he was, this is where I'm like, I don't really know. I don't know enough to just be authoritarian on it or anything. I think it's just a journey for everybody to find for themselves, But where I see this as it is a cult within a cult. I mean, labels, right? I think they're by the adversary, so to say. I don't think labels do us any good. We're just a human race, in my opinion. Like, we should just be our brother's keepers and just be good people. That's all. Just don't be an asshole. But I don't know. I'm just glad y'all are here. Hey, Natalie, how are you? I need to send you my email. Yes, send me your email. It's like a woman down the street who believes she won the big prize when she gets her mail, and it's just string. Wait, it just strings her along. And they hold exaltation above your head, in my opinion. Yes, Jared knows. Jared knows what this is. It's yeah, I know, cherry pie. What the hell did tithing do for Charles? Well, I'll tell you what it did. What it helped create is the multi-billion-dollar corporate Jesus that has navigated this entire thing, beginning to its end. Same corporate Jesus that left a card in my house. Hope all is well. I mean, right before I came on, I was screenshotting from day 24 from East Idaho News, Nate's tweets, basically, right? And there was this one, and I'm like, hope all is well. That's Chad used it. And I mean, I know it's just why the hell was a Jesus card in my house, first off, on my living room floor? Was it a message? Was it because I said the second anointing? Was it? Why not call me? Why do you have my address? How'd you know my name? Because I used name on the website when I signed up. These things don't just happen. They don't just happen. I don't buy it. Yeah, let me get to it. Woo. So, okay. So, whoa, this way. Y'all, I love this investigator. Hart, the one that read everything into the record. Poor thing. And I appreciate him, for just paying attention to what was being said in the comments. That's where it's always at, in their text messages. 8:15. Week 5 of testimony begins this morning in the Vallow Daybell case. Retired FBI Special Agent Doug Hart will be back on the stand today detailing what he uncovered on Lori's iCloud accounts. He is the prosecution's 59th witness and my favorite. He began testifying Friday. You can get caught up on that here. Okay, 8:27. Lori is in the courtroom with her attorneys. Blah blah blah. 8:34 a.m. Fremont County Prosecuting Attorney Lindsay Blake says the witness after Detective Hart is an exhibit. Okay. Blah blah blah. A bunch of. Basically, Blake says the exhibit is not a summary of the entire trial, but it's a summary of the investigation conducted by Edwards. 8:48. Part of the summary exhibit includes the James and Alana story, the romance novel you can find here on East Idaho News website. Boyce pushes back that it's not a summary of the story, it's the entire story. He asks for the relevancy of publishing the entire story. Blake responds, when investigators found it, they went through it and determined things that were occurring in real life were reflected in the story. She says it portrays the underlying motives of the case. 8:51. The exhibit, Okay, I want to get to the Hart. At 9:03 a.m., Hart says it was clear to investigators that the relationship between Chad and Lori was the driving force in the crimes alleged in this case. Yes, 144,000%. 9:04. The next slide is from July 18th, 2019. Lori to Chad. I also, y'all, I have a podcast that Chad did that I need to share. I don't know when, because I have to have moderators and things to do it, a live premiere or something. And it was done on July 9th by Chad. And it was titled Patience, of all things. Okay. It's gross. He's gross. They're gross. But anyways, let me know when y'all would like to, I don't know. Everybody's going to be all crazy with the audio and everything from tomorrow. So it's just so hard to compete with or whatever, or try and schedule around. Okay, so from July 18th, Lori to Chad, I just got the letter from the insurance company saying that I'm not the beneficiary. It's a spear through my heart. What do you think he changed? Who do you think he changed it to? Brandon or probably Kay? He left nothing for JJ. Chad to Lori. Wow, that's terrible. There's no way to find out. Lori to Chad. I might be able to see when I get his computer on Sunday. I could check the emails I sent to the insurance company. It will show change of beneficiary. He must have done it recently. Chad tells Lori that there should be a paper trail, and this is another step to bringing down the Gadians. Quote, especially Brandon, unquote. Lori responds that he, Charles, can change the life insurance at any time. Chad says, quote, it will be interesting if it got changed after he had 2 bullets in his chest, unquote. Oh my God, it makes me want to beat the shit out of him. Anyways, did I say that out loud? Let me say it louder. Lori responds that it can't be changed after the death date. I'm sure she checked into it. Chad tells Lori that he thinks Kay is the beneficiary, and she was probably, quote, freaking out, unquote, after Lori got, quote, those computers, unquote. Like, why would she know? First off, she's not them. She's not sneaky and trying to defraud the system. Just projection. That's all you see. You can hear it in their details, These are the things they were worried about. 9:09. Smith asks Hart what Gadians mean. And he says, the Gadians were a secret society from the Book of Mormon, a group of evil people. Chad and Lori are the Gadian robbers. Okay. If you ever watched the movie The Village, it's so that, they just fearmonger. That's all it is. They are what they are preaching against, basically. At 9:11 a.m. in the text exchange, Lori messages Chad and says she spoke with the insurance company. She learned Charles changed the life insurance policy in March of 2019. So Kay would be the beneficiary. She says, quote, I'll still get the $4,000 a month from Social Security. Anyways, 9:12 a.m. on July 18, 2019. This is 7 days after my uncle was murdered. Chad texted Lori, I've been instructed to focus my efforts on Hillary. That's Tylee. So I will. Chad to Lori. Okay. Find out her percentage for me. Wait, Chad to Lori. Okay. Find out her percentage for me. And JJ. Chad to Lori. She is at a 0.13. I hate decimal numbers. I turned up the pain to 10 and placed a spiritual effing virus in her. He is at a 99.99%. Raphael visited him and told him to follow Amy into the light, Carolyn. No, I'm just kidding. I also assured him that James would love to take care of his mommy. Third person. How do you know? He's not even talking in third person. What is that? It's not third person because he's not talking in third person Chad. He's talking in third person codename, Raphael. Anyways, I also assured him that James would love to take care of his mommy, which he will with all of his heart and soul. Ugh. Lori to Chad. That is sweet. I miss you desperately. Hart says Hillary is the name of the entity's spirit that inhabited Tylee's body. Hart says there are 3 total conversations regarding the death percentages for JJ, Tylee, and Tammy Daybell. Another occurs on July 30th, and the third occurs on August 10th. The closer an individual was to 100, the closer they were to their death. JJ was at 99.99%. Tylee was 0.13. Hart also says the closer the number is to 0, the closer they are to death. This reminds me of Audrey. I don't know if the trust level is the same thing. Whatever. But she was at 100. She was far from dying. Just saying. She's not a damn victim. She's not manipulated. She worked literally for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Anyways, so both children were very close to death according to Chad's scale. Now we see a text from July 18, 2019. You are so adorable, beautiful, wonderful, heavenly, luscious, evil, no, I'm kidding, and angelic, gross. So many divine attributes rolled into one dynamic, desirable package. Him with his adverbs, y'all, is gross. How many descriptors, you know? I want you even more desperately than you want me. That's gross. Chad Delory, just grab me by the storm. Grab Chad by his penis. And I will follow you to the ends of the universe. Obviously. I hope he does the same for you. Lori. Lori asks, when might that be? Chad responds, Wednesday evening, and then repeatedly and gloriously until Friday. Lori replies, and then what? Chad says, back to crying and saying goodbye. Back to the box. Chad to Lori, this trip to Utah had a lot of finality to it. I was told extreme changes are coming to me and to Utah. Right? And they just have an affair like normal people. Hart said the word storm is the name they had given to Chad's penis. Poor dude. Not Chad. Poor the English language. Poor this detective who read this into record. And poor Tammy for being married to this piece of shit for 29 years. Good God. anyways, the context of the message is Chad and Lori were planning to meet up, according to Hart. We now see text messages from July 20th, 2019. And Chad and Lori are talking about Melanie Boudreaux's children. I want to go grab the damn kids right now by myself. Ugh, you hurt them kids, Melanie? Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. And then shame on the system, you know? No. Mm-mm. Sorry, I'm rebuking. My body's rebuking this right now. Yeah, Tammy never got to sunbathe in Hawaii. Ugh. Okay. Okay. July 2020. And Chad and Lori are talking about Melanie Boudreaux's children. She is the niece of Lori, ex-wife of Brandon Boudreaux, and is now Melanie Pulaski. Lori to Chad. What's Blake's percentage? He drew 3 crosses on the wall in his bedroom. God forbid. You know, in this religion, they don't really believe in the they don't believe in they believe in inverted pentagrams, in my opinion, on their temple, but they're anti-cross, pretty much. Not anti, but you know what I mean. It's just the opposite world, right? It says, what's Blake's percentage? He drew 3 crosses on the wall in his bedroom. We just finished painting over them, like he was marking it for the dark side to find him. Chad to Lori. Blake is a 7. I took my sword of life and sliced his aura vertically in several places. You should be able to now rip and burn it. I also just decreased his pain tolerance to 1%. Well, that was sweet of him, right? That's about the sweetest thing that he has said. He decreased his pain tolerance to 1% and greatly, never mind. Hold my beer, right? And greatly increased his pain. What the hell? His desire to depart is at 80%. So were they going to sacrifice her children as well? Were they assigned 24 people of their choice to get rid of as part of this blood atonement ritual? One questions, you know? Mm-mm. So then it says messages on July 21st, 2019, Lori to Chad. Found it. Ned gave all of it to Rhonda. My mom. Chad to Lori. Glad you found that out. Lori to Chad. It fits. Now she will try to take him. Right. Chad to Lori. We will work hard on Rhonda when we are together. I want to slap the shit out of him just for that. Don't mess with my family. God dang it. Oh. You know those yo mama jokes, right? And it's you don't talk about nobody's mama. No, nobody talk about my mama, right? Only I get to talk about my mom. So, oh my God, that makes me so enraged. Just, Anyways. We will work hard on Rhonda when we are together. I will get her numbers as low as I can by Wednesday. Why don't you just do this, Chad? Okay, they're 0. I just want to, kill people. Okay. I mean, it's so easy than being all dramatic and shit. Good God. That's what you want anyways. Chad and Lori and friends. Okay. Hart says Rhonda was the evil spirit that inhabited Kay Woodcock. This conversation came after Lori found out Kay received the life insurance policy money. Sorry. Then now we see the start of James and Elena's story sent from Chad to Lori on July 21, 2019 at 8:17 p.m. Chad went by James, Lori by Elena. It begins with James and Elena visiting the temple and then returning to a hotel room for additional romance on the couch. Why didn't they go into the bed? Why didn't they just do it in the temple? Are you wishing away and praying for people to die, but that's okay to do in a temple, but having sex isn't? What the hell? Yes, Rachel. Yes, Rachel. It's bad. Very bad. I'm so glad that I'm not alone. Okay, so they can have romance on the couch, right? They calm their nerves enough to give each other a blessing. Who in here thinks that blessings mean something different, right? They're perverted. As James placed his hands on her head, he connected with Elena's true eternal self. He knew he was in the presence of an exalted goddess. Why? Because he just went through the temple with her, and they had a whole temple ceremony. And this is how they practice polygamy, in my opinion. Yeah, because they had to denounce it to become a state back in the day. Anyways. He was in the presence of an exalted goddess who had returned to Earth to perform a special mission. This one was to murder people. Just kidding. This mission included being with him. And they would progress together as translated beings. Same language as the second anointing. Soaking. Yeah. Right? I just saw this. I always have a hard time saying your name, though. Menace. I don't know how to say it. But yes, this. It's not just these two, though. That's the scary part. That's the part I'm like, hey, pointing. Yeah, no. I wish it was just these two. It's not. The whole bunch, right? And Bubba gonna grab him by the storm and swing him like a windmill. Oh my God, yes. Oh my gosh, Denial and I. Probably the crosses drawn on the wall are lies, just like JJ climbing on top of the fridge in the cupboards, right? Which David Warwick and all his expert witness testimony from being a general contractor. He's like, no, I mean, the cabinet doors would have been unhinged. And I'm thinking, first off, the BITCH did not decorate a damn house that I've seen, right? Not since the separation from my uncle, unless it was temples and Visions of Glory book on her nightstand. So you're telling me you have a whole picture of Christ on the top? It was on the refrigerator. Then, if you listen to the one he just did for this trial, it was not. It was above the refrigerator cabinetry. And he's like, no, because the cabinet doors would have been, bent. And like, what the hell? I do too, Sai. I want him. I want them all to face charges. Yeah. There were several notable items left out. Nothing of Sean Bartholick, for instance. Thank you. That was Chad and well, he put out statements. He's an attorney over there in Rexburg or that area, and put out statements that she resents assertions, and he's a good father or good husband, whatever. Lies, just lies. Yeah, right. Yeah, the podcast. Where's the freaking podcast? Where are these things? This is how ritual murder gets covered up. Okay? Whether people know it or not. I don't know if some people even know that they're enabling and protecting people. Not going to say everybody's dirty, right? But there are some dirty people. Corrupt. And I mean, who does it benefit? Do Chad and Lori benefit from establishing their own cult, their own church, invisible church of the firstborn over there that David Warwick was like, I don't see it as invisible. I want to smack the shit out of them, right? I really do. I did. I mean, I wanted to. I had to storm out of there after he testified. And I just went. I don't even know. I just had to walk briskly far away from the damn courthouse. Because it was, so I was like, lie, 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 you know? And this is what happens when you research into their belief system. Other than that, I'd have to just buy it as is because I didn't know any better because I'm naive, right? I know better. Lori was livid. I'm watching her face like, wonder why she looks so pissed off. Usually when she's guilty, she's like this and she just ducks her head and she just writes. She don't face it. But David was up there and she was just like, makes you wonder. I wish she would have taken the stand. I wish. Yeah. Yes. Right? Keep the awareness. Where is that podcast, right? What let me know what I need to write for victim impact statement, right? I want to write so many different things, but I'm like, well, they probably won't let me say this. They'll steal that. They do this. This is how they do. Just like when the Mormon church allegedly, get called out for not reporting SA. And they protect it, allegedly, using McConkie, allegedly. They're lawyers. And the LDS helpline, allegedly. It's pretty gross. It's so gross. Because it's not for the victims. It's not. And so they throw money at you, at the victim. They throw money at the victim. And then they get them to sign an NDA, which is a non-disclosure agreement. Yes, they did, Manager Daybell. It's a non-disclosure agreement. And it makes the victim shut up in lieu. It's a bribe, basically, in my opinion. Anyways, okay, so the conversation came after Lori found out Kay received the life insurance money. Now we start. No, I already said that. This mission this is about. He knew he was in the presence of an exalted goddess who had returned to Earth to perform a special mission. This mission included being with him, and they would progress together as translated beings. The full plan wasn't yet completely clear to him, but the immense power radiating from her confirmed his belief that she was among the greater women in the universe. Anyways, they embraced following the blessings. And the emotions they felt were a mixture of eternal bliss and celestial desire. Celestial means worldly. It's the lowest bottom of heaven for a Mormon. I always lose my spot. The sexual chemistry was undeniable. But the spiritual unity was a glorious bonus for them both. They had only known each other for 3 weeks. Aren't they proud? Laura responds, quote, she loves it. Chad responds with a long message about being sealed in the temple, their spirits and their bodies. Read it verbatim on East Idaho News. I never could really read that story out loud because y'all see how hard it is for me to get through this, right? It's enraging. But, I mean, that story really does have a lot of real truth, half-truths in it, that do correlate with what happened in real life, Okay, so Hort says message showed Chad and Lori had a plan about how they would progress together. And in my opinion, allegedly, this comes from upper management, okay? When they sealed them together. Okay, you don't just run off and do a fake sealing. And then finally, they put them inside the temple where it's protected by the First Amendment. Okay? It's protected by the First Amendment. And everything else, 501c3, and just every other abusive measure to commit fraud, in my opinion. Hart says investigators obtained records from the LDS temple. Those records showed Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow attended the Gilbert, Arizona temple on November 16, 2018. I said November 18th because second anointings usually occur on a Sunday when the temple is closed. And so people don't question why you're there. You can hear that in Tom Phillips. On that video, let me see. Let me paste. Okay, good. I just put it in the comments, that link. Okay, this link right here. Right there. That's the video I made that I was sharing with y'all. And it's got Tom Phillips on there. They spent the night in the temple. I didn't know you could reserve a room. Anyways. In the courtroom, Lori has her head down and has been taking notes for most of the morning. We now see messages from July 21st, Lori to Chad. It's making me so happy to read about our life that I'm finally going to dance. Where's the dance videos? All right. Missing you and loving you from afar. Lori to Chad. It was great. It's great. Right. I feel free again. I love you more than ever and can't wait to be with you forever. I'm begging Father and Mother. That's my job tonight. Chad to Lori. I will be right beside you begging you. Okay. All of these messages have multiple lip and heart emojis. Now we see a text exchange from July 22nd, 2019. This is when Chad texts Lori and says he's going to see the other side of heaven with his son. He says he will like it because the scenery looks like Kauai. Quote, hopefully we will be there someday soon together, unquote. Lori texts Chad. He responds, quote, that is the plan and my greatest desire, unquote. After the movie, Chad texts, quote, I look forward to being on a tropical island with you, unquote. The next slide shows text from July 23rd, 2019, Lori to Chad. Good morning. Missing you. Didn't sleep much. Need you to check JJ. Weird stuff happened in the middle of the night. It's like they distracted us with Blake. Well, God forbid. Lori then texts, when you get home, check Tylee. She is being super sweet and helpful. What is wrong with these people? And she cleaned her room. See if she got switched. Totally not her. It's like they're looking for fault, like I'm doing. You know, critical. I like poking holes in all their stuff, though. See if she got switched. Totally not her. Chad to Lori. Yes, she was switched. Please let me know when you can talk, and I will explain it. I want to know. Right? Lori uses a lot of heart and lip emojis in her text to Chad, right? Because she never does say, no, please don't sacrifice my kids. Yeah, Tylee couldn't do right no matter what. And poor baby. God dang. It makes my head pop. On July 26th, Lori sends Chad a text asking him to check JJ. She said, she's saying Tylee said this, I guess. Quote, she said he was calm when, or maybe not. I don't know. Let me know. Lori sends Chad a text asking him to check JJ. Quote, she said he was calm and he watched movies all day, which he would never do. Unquote. Okay, I took that wrong. I thought maybe Tylee had told it to her. Oh my goodness. Oh, let me see. Burnt potato flavor. I used to tear up some vodka. I'm not gonna lie to you. Oh, thank you, Carrie. Yeah, I agree with you, Mark. Even though that's not to me, but still, they were looking for reasons to kill them, says Carolyn A. Exactly. So why didn't they just say, okay, and just save the drama? So that's that folle et deux thing, right? In my opinion, it's like madness of two. And it goes to the masses, right? Anyways, Chad responds, it's still JJ. I'm told she is lying about him being calm and watching movies. Okay. Lori responds, quote, Mel knew. She called me. This makes me want to just go wrangle up her hair. Okay. Mel knew. She called me. She felt the real Brighton, Melanie Boudreaux's child, last night and knew she was different. You'll hear the geese? I don't know if I could hear it. Honk. You hear them all the time here. She is, whoa. And knew she was different. She was told I didn't want to tell her. She was told I didn't want to tell her. She is taking it well and knows it is part of a big plan. She is amazing, although I'm still pretty upset about it. I love you. Missing your kisses. The same day, Chad texts Lori, I'm home, missing you immensely and feeling very tired, but I had a splendid time with you, my love. I will text again soon. Chad then texts, quote, tonight I figured out who I feel like. I feel like I'm a grown-up version, not, of Harry Potter, which I've never watched, who has to live with the Dudleys in his little space under the stairs. Every few weeks I get to escape and have amazing adventures with my goddess lover. But then I have to return to my place under the stairs feeling trapped. But I sense permanent freedom is coming. Why? Is that because you're not a prophet and you're just a murderer? Now we see a text message Lori received from Melanie Boudreaux that Lori then sent to Chad because she's so smart. It talks about a message Melanie received from, quote, Father, which is Chad, right? It says he is pleased with her and she has overcome all. Things will be fast-paced and you are ready. This is where I'm like, no, this is bigger. They're reporting to somebody and vice versa. Fast-paced and you are ready. I love you so much. Godspeed. Now, don't mind if I speed things up a bit. Lori then sends Chad this, quote, that is a very nice message Mel B received. I won't mind at all if he speeds things up a bit. Chad to Lori, quote, yes, I miss you, holding you in my arms, caressing and kissing you, unquote. July 28th, Lori to Chad. Are you mad? Sad? What? Chad to Lori. I'm doing okay. Just no privacy here to hardly text, and I'm missing you immensely. I immensely hate that word. Now, I feel good about the trip. Lori to Chad. I need a distraction while I'm waiting for you. I love you. Chad to Lori. Absolutely. I think you'll have a fun time. Hart says Lori was going to take a trip while she was waiting for Chad. Lori went to California. Smith describes the next slide. That displays the life insurance document showing Kay Woodcock was the beneficiary. Lori sent Chad proof of the change of beneficiary. We don't see that slide because some personal information needs to be redacted. Chad to Lori on July 29th. One question. Do you want me to cause pain yet? To those 2 3s you're riding with. Speaking of pain. We don't block people. Speaking of pain, so detective's daughter knows somebody who said they would agree to talk to me. They're in prison and they're a guy. And so whenever things kind of settle, I guess once this is over and I go back home, maybe, I'm going to pay for the phone call, however, whatever it takes to, because they're already talking about Chad, going to prison there. So I just kind of want to put my fillers out and get a little insight of what prison life is going to be for him. And so speaking of pain being turned up, right? Do you want me to cause pain yet to those 2 3s you're riding with? Lori to Chad, probably hold off on then till we arrive. This will be a mistake to deal with, but I'll text you if they start acting up and we can zap them. I want to zap them. Not mistake. Chad to Lori, sounds great. Yes, if they are going to act up, we'll at least give them a reason to scream. I love, cherish, treasure, and adore you. The wonderful memories just keep coming back. You are mesmerizing. Raphael is one lucky guy. Hart says Lori was on a trip with Melanie B and her 2 kids, referencing the 2 threes in the car. Hart says JJ was present. He's unsure if Tylee was there. The references in hurting children and giving them a reason to scream are relevant. Hart says that when Smith asked why he included this slide in the presentation, Hart says he never saw any messages where Lori protested anyone getting hurt. Hart now reading a message Kay Woodcock sent to Lori begging her to allow JJ to attend his dad's memorial service. I'm the instigator of this. I'm not going to take credit for it because she ultimately sent it, but I was like, Mom, you need to invite Lori. She was like, I ain't inviting her. I don't want her to come. I said, she ain't going to come. She's not going to show up. If she does, welcome to the bayou, bitch. Basically, you know? So I'm so glad Mom followed through with that, right? And so she says, Mom, to Lori, we miss him so much. I'll leave in the morning to get him if you'd allow it. I'm begging you, please. Lori forwarded the message to Chad because it's just so interesting to share with Chatty Daddy, right? Chad then responds, quote, interesting message from Kay. She doesn't seem inclined to want to share the money. Lori responds that they are jerks and she isn't responding ever. And she didn't. Hart says there was never any sign that Lori ever communicated with Kay again. Then they take a recess. Anyways, I mean, we can go on and on. This thing's 3 hours already. But I mean, my God. It's gross. They're so gross. We need to pay actors or something to read these professionally. You know? I feel for that detective, the retired detective, though. I mean, I'm glad he was concise. He was to the point. I appreciate his service, you know. Yeah, the money would have run out quickly. At the rate they were going, for sure. I could cry forever for Tylee, but remember, she's with God. That's the only thing, right? Those kids, these victims, you know, they don't have to deal with this anymore and haven't. And that's the only comfort I find. Although it's not comfortable, you know, it's just very selfish, selfless, not selfless. It's selfish and it's unnecessary. It just doesn't make any sense. Right. Smart move. Force her hand. Exactly. I knew she wasn't going to show up. And if she did, come on. Welcome to the bayou, babe. You know, they got alligators and stuff over there, I heard. Allegedly. Right, Rombo? Right? And they'd have killed them all. And that's why, you know, Lori has no witnesses. She done killed them all. In my opinion. The knife stands alone. The knife stands alone. They are angels. Exactly. Yeah. No victim shaming, right? The defenses crossed for that agent made me so angry, right? Me too. Me too. I was like, you need to shut up, right? We'll be there in the morning for closing. Alligators and stuff, right? No, she was not schizo. That's the thing. The crazy talk that she shared is not crazy. I know it's crazy. How do I say that? It's hard to describe somebody else's craziness whenever it's just regular vocabulary in their big religion. You know, that was my shoulder that just popped. But I think that the church, in my opinion, allegedly blankets this whole thing. These are just my allegations, right? These are my opinions about the church. I hate that shit because then I forget what I was saying. Oh, Lori being schizo. No, but it makes one look crazy because of the words, the verbiage they use. She just was like, hey, yeah, I'm calling an election, made sure, to me, I'm like, what the hell does that mean? What's the second comforter? Not the one you put on your bed at night when it gets cold, right? Seeing Jesus in the flesh. And then Melanie Gibb earlier, when I showed y'all the video, this projection of the temple ceremony, and Melanie Gibb saying that Zalema saw Jesus in the same spot where Lori saw Jesus, in the temple, in the initiatories, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to say too much because, secret. So she's not insane. No, that's just it. No, she probably, oh yeah. I mean, because it takes freaking psycho, in my opinion, to murder people. But she was deceived. Basically, it's like this, if you can picture it. I sound like the damn Golden Girls. But there's, how they said that Alex was their fall guy, right? Well, how I see it is, yes, in a way, in a lot of ways, yes, Alex is the fall guy, but Chad and Lori are the fall guys for upper management. And I don't know, it's very mob-like. Mormon mafia, just saying. It's crazy. But anyways, yeah. I do too, Carrie. I do too. They'd have had to kill me. They'd have had to kill me. Yeah. Thomas gets on my damn nerves, right? I'm like, good God. I thought he was an underdog, right? Because I was like, Archibald gets on my nerves. He's like, yeah, yeah. He's like, he's high. You can blindfold him with dental floss. But Thomas, he just came out of nowhere. Like he was all okay in pre-trial hearings and stuff. But then whenever we got here, he's like the little Dennis the Menace, the redheaded stepchild, so to speak, and I'm just like, I was like, they get on my nerves, both of them. Yes. When you attend court, or the prosecution team looking after you all, or are you all just being left to cope with all this on your own? As far as like the only person or people I know that were assigned or whatever of a victim's advocate or whatever is my parents, not my brother, or anybody else that I know of, No. I mean, as far as that, like, technically speaking, besides us sitting behind them, that's about it. But, and they do a little bit of heads up, like, hey, they're going to be showing some really bad pictures, or, that's about it. There's no way to sugarcoat it, really, though. Yep. Rainbow ribbon dancing Pocahontas tickets. Oh, thanks, Rombo, I love your humor, and her energy healings for $150 an hour at a distance, right? Remotely. Audrey Baratero says she worked remotely. I was like, waiting on the next children to sacrifice, huh? Are you? Anyways. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, that's true, Heidi. I agree with you with that. I thought it was just more of a tactic to try and get them to plead out, as it should be. But these people are very narcissistic and self-righteous, basically. You wonder where Thomas wears his belt. Oh man. It is hard to be composed. That's why I do a lot of passive aggressive stuff right here. Because it's just like, this is my therapy. Ugh, I really do look to you guys as just people to bounce my thoughts off of, right? And your comments, everything that you say, helps me put things into perspective and see things not so one-sided. It's very important. Rose podcast from a car was the most telling. Crackpot mashup with a wop swamp of muck, right? I remember commenting on her one of her videos, and I was just like on TikTok, and I was like, oh my God, she was sitting there videoing basically of her legs spread apart. You couldn't see nothing. She was not sitting like a lady. Just, that's all I'm saying. I'm like, well, if I had my hoo-ha hanging out like that too, I'm just, put your damn legs together. Don't video it, right? Nothing Christ-like. Nothing. I don't try to pretend like I'm better than anybody else, because I'm not. Yes, I need an outlet. I love you too. And I'm glad. And somebody, I think Kathy Burrell had asked earlier if I plan on keeping this going. And of course I do. I'm worried to an extent. There's part of this that once the adjudication process is over, people are going to lose interest, which is why I've put a ton of amount of unnecessary pressure on myself, because I'm like, oh my God, the time is now. I got to strike now, but I'm still, that's not how this works. I've learned that too. It helps, because I don't want to just incriminate anybody. I don't want to just shoot from the hip or whatever. I want to, oh, that's sweet. I just want to talk about it. We should be able to get comfortable talking about uncomfortable things, right? If we ever want change. I hope he is too, Heidi. I mean, after his testimony, my parents went out and met him and hugged him, and it's what my Uncle Charles would have wanted. It sucks all the way around. Makes me want to cry. But anyways, thank y'all so much. And, thank you. But it helps me to see how you think, how everybody here has their own path, their own experience. Some in Mormonism, some outside of Mormonism, some never, some, not even a belief in God. And that, it's all just important. Everybody, there's no way one person can factor in all these things. Hey, little Brian. Oh, okay. What do you breathe in plastic, right? No air. God, right? Oh, thank you, Sai. Same here, So y'all don't go. There's plenty of research left to do. Even if Chad pleads out, I don't know how this is going to play out, but that's part of the advocacy part of this. I am ready to get this part behind me. I think we all are. And the victims, for them, I know they're not here, but it's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to abide by the law. Thank you, Heidi. That's so sweet. Thank you. Girl, you make me want to cry. Good tears, though, Just, there's tons of research. There's all these, I don't, a handy dandy phone, right? So, gotta love the Vallow chronic throat clearing. Okay. Let me see. Nope. Okay. Hide reader. Whatever. I'm going to go to the Salt Lake Tribune. It's about this author. Okay. Like, crap. See, there's plenty to do. Utah author. This is just one of the latest ones. Robinette. I had read it, but just didn't process it too well. I was like, sounds a little sus. Hold on, I'm typing with one hand. Husbands. It's an epidemic. It's occurring more and more, unfortunately. Tried to. It's a long ass title. Let me see what pops up. Okay, let me share this and then we'll go. I promise. I could stay on here forever. Present, share screen. Share. Okay, so news about a Utah author charged in husband's death had tried to poison him before. Court records allege. Well, crap. Now I got to open up another damn window. I'll go over here. Come over here with me, please. Oh, cheese and rice. Come on, computer. It might be down there already. Yeah, it is. Okay, Utah. Okay, it's crazy, right? Utah author charged in husband's death had tried to poison him before. Court records allege. The husband's family told police that, quote, if anything happens to him, she was to blame, unquote, documents state. Oh, it's going to catch up. Yeah, I knew it was going to do that. So this is way too big. Well, one more. Okay. KPCW.org via AP. This photo provided by KPCW.org shows Corey Richens at the KPCW studio in Park City, Utah on April 12, 2023. Richens was arrested on Monday, May 8th and is accused in charging documents of poisoning her husband with a legal dose of fentanyl at their home in Camas near Park City. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Okay, the late husband of Summit County murder suspect believes his wife had tried to poison him multiple times before his death. Court documents allege. Corey Richens, a mother of 3 who wrote a book meant to help children cope with grief after her husband Eric Richens' 2022 death, was charged Monday in 3rd District Court with 1 count of aggravated murder and 3 counts of possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute in connection with his apparent killing. Quote, while investigating the death, I was told by Eric's family members that they suspected his wife had something to do with his death. Deputy Jamie Woody wrote in an affidavit for a search warrant. They advised he warned them if anything happened to him, she was to blame. Well, where the hell is the sound?
Is where we bring you the important story of the day. Now, with the rise of temperatures over the past week, flooding has started in earnest.
Anyways, y'all don't laugh. Or go ahead. It's funny. Move. It's going to do all kinds of things because, I pushed it like 3 times. So, anyways, the suspected poisoning started years ago on a trip to Greece, the affidavit states. At some point, Corey Richens gave Eric a drink and he became, quote, violently ill, unquote. Afterward, Eric called his sister and said he believed Corey had tried to kill him, according to the affidavit. On Valentine's Day 2022, Corey Richens brought her husband a sandwich, which after one bite, Eric broke into hives and couldn't breathe, unquote. The affidavit states Eric used his son's EpiPen and Benadryl, quote, before passing out for several hours, unquote. After he woke up, he told a business partner what happened. According to a probable cause statement, Summit County Sheriff's Office deputies and first responders came to the Richens, I guess that's how you say it, home around 3 a.m. on March 4th, 2022, and found Eric on the floor at the foot of his bed. They attempted life-saving measures, but he was pronounced dead. During interviews with Corey Richens, the 33-year-old told investigators that around 9 p.m. the night prior, they had been celebrating her closing on a house for her business, the document states. She made her husband a Moscow Mule, which he drank in bed. Corey went to sleep shortly after. She told police and awoke around 3 a.m. to find Eric cold to the touch. The day after Eric's death, Corey closed on the home alone, the affidavit states. She later invited her friends over for a large party, sound like a pool party, right? At her home where she was drinking and celebrating. An autopsy and toxicology findings determined that Eric died from a fentanyl overdose and that he had 5 times the lethal dosage in his system. The medical examiner also stated that the fentanyl in his system was illicit fentanyl and not medical grade fentanyl. During a search warrant, Corey Richens' phone and several computers were seized as evidence. Investigators found texts on her phone with someone identified as CL, whom she asked if she could get some prescription pain medicine for an investor. A few days later, CL, why are they protecting CL? It's a damn pill dealer. Anyways, procured hydrocodone pills with which Corey told CL to leave at a house she was flipping in Midway. Corey owned the house from December 2021 to January 2022. A couple of weeks later, Corey Richens contacted CL, drug dealer, again and asked for, quote, some of the Michael Jackson stuff, unquote, specifically fentanyl. About 2 weeks later, on February 26, 2022, Corey again contacted CL to ask for more fentanyl. 6 days later, Eric was dead. Before he died, Eric Richens had changed his will and life insurance beneficiary from Corey Richens to his sister. He was looking for a divorce and wanted his kids taken care of, is what his sister said. The search warrant affidavit states. According to the family, Eric had never told his wife that he had, quote, cut her out of the will, unquote, the document states. Corey Richens has an active real estate sales agent license according to the Utah Department of Commerce's Real Estate Division. The company associated with her license is listed as Conrad Cruz Real Estate Services. On Wednesday afternoon, the company declined to comment. The children's book Corey Richens wrote about grief called, quote, Are You With Me? Unquote, published in March. As of Wednesday, the book had been removed, well, we've heard that before with Chad too, from Amazon's website until it's not anymore. Then they put it back on there. The book's description calls it, quote, heartwarming and reassuring book that gently guides children through the difficult experience of losing a loved one, unquote. That's messed up. Written by a loving mother, oh my God, quote, written by a loving mother who personally faced this challenge, unquote. See how they play the victim? Persecution complex. The description continues, quote, this book is designed to offer comfort and solace to young minds in a way that is both accessible and engaging, unquote. In April, Richens appeared in a segment, gross, on KTVX Channel 4's, quote, Good Things Utah, to discuss the new book, during which she shared that her husband, quote, passed away unexpectedly last year, unquote. She noted that March 4th marked the 1-year anniversary of his death, and that, quote, it completely took us all by shock, unquote. Quote, my kids and I kind of wrote this book on the different emotions and grieving processes that we've experienced last year, hoping that it can kind of help other kids, you know. deal with this, she said, and kind of, find happiness some way or another, unquote. On Tuesday evening, an editor's note was added to the interview's webpage that states Richens appeared on the show, quote, 1 month before she was arrested in connection with her husband's murder, unquote. At the time of the airing, Good Things Utah and ABC4 had no way to be aware that she was a suspect in that murder, unquote. The editor's note states, quote, we are leaving this post up as part of our policy of being transparent. That's me clapping. We have, however, removed links to purchase her product. Well, there you go. Corey Richens is currently in custody at the Summit County Jail. A court hearing in the case is slated for May 19th. Okay. I was like, wait, what? All right. Anyway, so there's that. There's plenty of things to talk about. Plenty. Because these people are just idiots and selfish, and it's 2 by 2. It's not. To me, it's. I mean, people are going to say, well, I don't know if she's Mormon or not. And it doesn't really matter. It's the culture. It's just this, I don't know. It's because, I mean, she gave them drinks, right? Mormons don't drink. But they murder, I mean, they're not exalted beings, they're human, just like the rest of us. Okay. Yes, you Mormons. Yes, you Catholics. Yes, you're no better than we are. None of us here are perfect, and we make mistakes. And the day we stop admitting that, we're here, right? You'll be waiting, and attending your aunt's trial for murder. It's nuts. So I love you guys. Yeah, she was guiding herself through the grieving process so she would feel something. That's a good yeah, my computer's starting to glitch. Anyways, I love you guys. Justice for Tylee, Tammy, JJ, Charles, and Joe. Love always wins. And I will see you guys after the verdict, probably. Let's pray for the jurors, Love you guys. I'll see y'all later. Oh, yes, I will continue on YouTube if they allow me. I ain't going anywhere. Love y'all.